After the divorce, I ended up in the bed of the female CEO. Is my ex-wife freaking out? Mr. Chen, my husband should be coming to the parking lot to wait for me to finish school. If he sees us, it won't be good. He's a useless man. So what if he sees us? Ning Fan stood outside the car, watching his wife, Yang Qiqi, in Chen Wei's arms. His eyes turned bloodshot, and his body trembled with anger. He and Yang Qiqi had met in high school. Back then, Yang Qiqi's family was poor, and she almost couldn't afford to continue her education. After school, Ning Fan worked part-time to support her. It had been 7 years since then. When Yang Qiqi's grandfather learned about it, he was very grateful to Ning Fan. After both of them graduated high school and turned 18, despite their family's objections, they got married, and Ning Fan was accepted as the son-in-law of the Yang family. After Yang Qiqi went to college, the Yang family's situation improved. Under her grandfather's guidance, they even started a small pharmaceutical factory. However, Ning Fan still earned money to support her education. After all, she was his wife, and he believed it was his responsibility to take care of her. Yang Qiqi's grandfather was kind to Ning Fan. From time to time, he would secretly give him some money, and during festivals, he would even bring his sister over. Ning Fan was deeply moved. Since his mother disappeared after the college entrance exams, he had not felt the warmth of family care. Tonight was Yang Qiqi's birthday. A few months ago, she had complained that her phone was outdated and that she kept getting lagged during games. So, Ning Fan had saved up money for several months and bought the latest model of a fruit phone, planning to surprise her. But what he saw tonight shattered him. Anger, rage, and a surge of blood pressure flooded Ning Fan's mind, making him lose his rationality. Grabbing the unopened fruit phone in his hand, he smashed the car window. Bang! The two inside the car were startled. They quickly looked outside. Ning Fan really showed up. Ning Fan yanked open the car door, staring at the two of them, naked and intertwined, his gaze fixed on Yang Qiqi. Tears uncontrollably streamed down his face. Why? Ning Fan's voice was filled with unimaginable pain and confusion. He couldn't understand why Yang Qiqi would betray him. Yang Qiqi's eyes flashed with panic. She hadn't expected Ning Fan to arrive at the parking lot early. But soon, her panic was replaced by indifference. She quickly put on her clothes, and her expression became cold and detached. After dressing, she got out of the car and looked at Ning Fan, saying, "Since you've seen everything, there's nothing left to say. Why are you doing this to me?" Ning Fan clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his flesh. He didn't even feel the pain as he yelled. "You must be the useless husband of Qiqi, the one who delivers packages, right? In the world of adults, there is no such thing as why. If there is one, it's that being poor is the original sin, being useless is the original sin. A well-educated woman like Qiqi would never look at a poor, useless man like you. You're not someone she can be with." Chen Wei, who had dressed himself, leaned against the car, lit a cigarette, and said casually, "Ning Fan, you're truly useless and stupid. You couldn't even get into college and all you can do is deliver packages. Your future is bleak, and only a foolish woman would spend her life with you, suffering." Yang Qiqi sneered, saying, "I'm not going to waste my life on you. When we registered our marriage, it was only because Grandpa forced me to. Plus, I was young. You think I would have agreed otherwise? Stop dreaming. I know that all my tuition fees, living expenses, and even daily expenses were paid for by you. But you still don't deserve me. From the moment I went to university and you started working, there was an insurmountable gap between us. That gap can't be bridged just by you being good to me. Ning Fan, we are no longer from the same world." After a pause, Yang Qiqi looked at Chen Wei and asked, "Do you know who he is?" "Chen Wei, the eldest son of the Chen group in Jiang City. Let me tell you the truth, during my second year of college, I was already sleeping with him. Are you still fantasizing that after graduation, after we have our wedding, I would give you my first time? You're just daydreaming. Only someone like Wei Ji is worth me giving myself to. You, a lowly man, probably don't even know what the Chen group represents. Let me tell you what it represents. It represents unlimited wealth. The total market value has reached 2 billion, and they have almost 50 million in cash on hand. You could deliver packages for 8 lifetimes and never earn that much. Recently, the Jiang family from the provincial capital released news that they are opening a new company here in Jiang City and will launch a project worth 10 billion. The Chen family has already secured a spot to compete for this project, and it's basically a done deal. Once it's announced at the business conference in 7 days, this project will officially start. Once completed, the Chen family will join the ranks of the $10 billion assets club and enter Jiang City's elite circle. Do you know what this means? The Jiang family controls half of the underworld in Jiangbei province. By cooperating with the Jiang family, our Yang family will rise together with them. The benefits of working with the Jiang family are beyond what you, a useless man, can imagine. Even the smallest scraps they let slip from their fingers can make a dog become a dragon in Jiangbei. He's just a delivery man. Doesn't he need to hear these things? Chen Wei wrapped his arm around Yang Qiqi's waist, leaning on the car with a look of disdain at Ning Fan. I left your mother. The anger that had been building inside Ning Fan reached its peak. Without thinking, he grabbed the fruit phone and threw it at Chen Wei's head. The phone smashed into Chen Wei's head, causing blood to pour out. Ning Fan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You dare hit Wei Ji? Yang Qiqi's face changed as she saw Ning Fan strike. R. Chen Wei screamed in pain. A Wuling Hongguan car pulled up, and 7 or 8 men rushed out. They grabbed Ning Fan and began beating him mercilessly with sticks. These were Chen Wei's bodyguards. Hit him, beat him to death. How dare you hit me? I'll make sure you don't live. Chen Wei shouted while covering his bleeding head, kicking Ning Fan in the crowd. No one around dared to stop them. As they watched Ning Fan get beaten to a pulp, blood pouring from his head, some people looked on with pity. Soon, Ning Fan collapsed into a pool of blood, the ground stained red. It wasn't until Ning Fan stopped moving that Chen Wei, cursing, took Yang Qiqi and left. No one noticed the jade pendant around Ning Fan's neck fall to the ground. When it touched the blood, it suddenly shone brightly. At that moment, a Porsche Panamera pulled up next to them. A stunning woman with long, flowing hair stepped out of the car. The woman was wearing a black pencil skirt that tightly hugged her voluptuous figure. Below, her legs were wrapped in thin black stockings. She wore a shirt with a slightly open collar, revealing a delicate cleavage, and her high heels further accentuated her perfect figure. The woman frowned as she looked at Ning Fan lying in a pool of blood and said, "Is this the man Grandpa wanted me to find? The one who was supposed to open the branch office for us in the province?" Chapter 2, Inheritance. Seeing Ning Fan in this state, Jiang Rushue couldn't accept it. The assistant got out of the car and frowned as he spoke. "President Jiang, the man your grandfather asked you to find, the one who could supposedly cure your condition, this man can't even protect himself. How can he possibly cure your illness? This is a mistake, right?" Watching this scene and recalling the words her grandfather had said, Jiang Rushue's brows furrowed even deeper. "Rushue, if there is anyone in this world who can solve your cold body problem, it's only the descendants of that person. Our Jiang family's position today is also thanks to the small help we received from that person years ago. Go to Jiang City, and if it's possible, let him become our Jiang family's son-in-law. As long as that's the case, after I'm gone, the Jiang family will continue." Jiang Rushue sighed deeply. She really didn't want to believe that the man lying in a pool of blood was the one her grandfather had asked her to find to cure her illness and the one her grandfather had subtly suggested she marry. Jiang Rushue looked towards the provincial city and whispered, "Grandpa, I'll give him a year to prove himself. If he succeeds, I'll marry him. If not, I'll give him the company we opened in Jiang City as compensation, as a way to repay the favor to the person who helped the Jiang family." Meanwhile, at the Yang family's old residence, the entire Yang family had gathered. Just a moment ago, Yang Qiqi brought a man home and, in front of everyone, said to the old patriarch, "Grandpa, I don't like Ning Fan. He's a useless man and can't give me the happiness or life I want. I don't want to waste my life on a man who didn't even make it into college. He's stuck with a life of delivering packages. Do you really want to see me spend my entire life with a delivery man? This is Chen Wei, the young master of the Chen group that I met in college. I want to divorce Ning Fan in the next few days and be with him." With those 3 sentences, the old patriarch of the Yang family turned pale, spat out a mouthful of blood, and fainted. He still hadn't woken up. Cough. At that moment, the unconscious Yang Yuanzhong finally showed some signs of life, though his complexion was still extremely pale. Grandpa. The younger generation of the Yang family's eyes lit up, and they quickly called out, Dad, are you okay? Yang Yuanzhong had two sons, and the one speaking was his eldest, Ning Fan, who was also Yang Qiqi's father. Dad, let me say something fair, Ning Fan began. It really isn't necessary for Qiqi to waste her life on Ning Fan. He didn't even get into college, and his life is set. He can only deliver packages for the rest of his life. Do you really want to see Qiqi stuck with a delivery man for her entire life? At this point, Yang Fan's wife, Jia Mengmen, spoke up as well. Dad, what big sister said makes sense. It really isn't necessary. This Chen Wei is a promising young man, far better than Ning Fan, that useless guy. Yang Yuanzhong's second son, Yang Rong, frowned and added, Grandpa, Ning Fan is a waste. He failed the college entrance exams, which caused his mother to leave. She still hasn't come back. Not long after, his sister got sick, and she still hasn't recovered. I heard she needs heart bypass surgery, costing almost 100,000 to 200,000. If we don't let my sister divorce him, he'll come to our Yang family for money when it's time for surgery, one he. Yang Tingting, Yang Fan's second daughter, spoke next. Grandpa, after the surgery, they'll need more money for recovery. Isn't this a bottomless pit? How can our Yang family afford to keep supporting two useless people like them? This kind of useless person, why keep him in the Yang family? Shouldn't we just kick him out? You ungrateful wolves. Yang Yuanzhong trembled with anger and continued to cough. When Yang Qiqi was in high school, our family didn't have any money. Who went out to work part-time to earn money for her education? Don't you remember? He didn't get into college, but none of you can't that. Qiqi, don't you know? If it weren't for him saving money for your college tuition, would Xiaofan have been late for the science exam? I, Yang Yuanzhong, gave birth to a group of heartless descendants like you. Old man, don't say such things, I don't like hearing it, the old matriarch grumbled, leaning on her cane as she walked to the window. Not letting Qiqi spend her life with that useless man means she's ungrateful. Isn't there any other way to compensate him? He helped Qiqi with her education. Our Yang family could just pay him back, but you're going to have Qiqi spend her life with a useless man. And besides, hasn't Qiqi found a better match in Chen Wei? The Chen family is a third-tier family in Jiang City. With just one opportunity, they can enter the Jiang City elite circle. If Qiqi marries this young master, our Yang family can benefit from the connection to a rich family. Har har, Yang Yuanzhong laughed bitterly. He looked up at the ceiling and trembled as he spoke. You don't understand, you don't understand. Compared to that person's child, the Chen family is nothing. Even the northern families can't compare. You're destroying the Yang family's chance. This is fate. The Yang family will stop here. You will regret this. You will regret it. Chen Wei frowned, thinking, what is this old man talking about? He couldn't believe the old man was looking down on the Chen family, thinking it wasn't as good as the delivery man. However, because it was his first time visiting the Yang family, Chen Wei held back his anger and didn't argue. The rest of the Yang family was stunned by Yang Yuanzhong's words. How did Ning Fan, a delivery man, suddenly become connected to destiny? And why would they regret it? They couldn't understand. They were more than happy to kick Ning Fan out of the Yang family and cut all ties with him. How could they possibly regret it? The old man was really getting senile. Grandpa, what do you mean by that? Yang Qiqi asked, slightly annoyed. Why was the man she chose suddenly considered inferior to Ning Fan, the useless delivery man? Yang Yuanzhong stopped speaking and closed his eyes. Years ago, when Ning Fan helped fund Yang Qiqi's education, Yang Yuanzhong went to buy some gifts to thank Ning Fan and his mother. At that time, when he first met Ning Fan's mother, he thought they were just ordinary people, just like them. But unexpectedly, over 4 years ago, on the night that Ning Fan and Yang Qiqi graduated from high school, he witnessed a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. That night, Ning Fan's mother came to him and asked him to look after Ning Fan in the future, as she had to go on a long journey. She promised to thank the Yang family properly when she returned. Before leaving, Ning Fan's mother gave Yang Yuanzhong a sum of money as a token of gratitude. It was this money that allowed the Yang family to thrive when Qiqi entered college, and they even started a small factory. All of this was because of Ning Fan's mother. After giving these instructions, Ning Fan's mother vanished into thin air, turning into a streak of light and disappearing from Jiang City. Yes, she vanished into thin air. At the time, Yang Yuanzhong was so shocked that he collapsed to the ground, calling her a divine being. To this day, he still has forgotten that scene and has dared to tell anyone about it. Only he knew. This was a great opportunity for the Yang family, but it was destroyed by this group of ignorant, ungrateful people in the Yang family. Losing the opportunity was one thing, but if Ning Fan's sister didn't have enough money for surgery and something happened to her, how would he explain it to Ning Fan's mother when she returned? Meanwhile, in Ning Fan's unconscious state. Xiao Fan, these years have been hard on you. Ning Fan, in his daze, heard a familiar voice full of guilt. Mom. He saw a woman standing in mid-air, beautiful like a goddess, and recognized her immediately. Where are you? I miss you and sister so much. Tears filled Ning Fan's eyes. After the college entrance exams, his mother had disappeared, and he had always thought it was because she was disappointed in him for not getting into college. He thought it was because she was embarrassed by him and couldn't bear the constant criticism from relatives back in the hometown, especially since there was no man around, only his father. He had assumed she had left because of it. He had thought he would never see his mother again, but now, unexpectedly, she had returned. And she looked like a deity, which made him both happy and shocked. What kind of person was his mother? I originally planned to let you live an ordinary life, just a normal, simple life, but I never expected you would still walk this path. Since that's the case, I will pass on the inheritance your father prepared for you. The woman didn't respond to Ning Fan's questions about where she was. Instead, she spoke again. Ning Fan was stunned. Inheritance from my father? Where is my dad? Where are you? Ning Fan couldn't help but ask. Xiao Fan, since you can't live an ordinary life, you must work hard to cultivate, overcome hardships, and reach the peak, the woman said with a smile. Xiao Fan, you must take good care of your sister. In the future, she will be a great help to you. As her voice gradually faded, the woman's figure began to fade as well. Ning Fan wanted to rush towards her, but he realized he couldn't move at all. His mind felt like it was tearing apart as a flood of information poured into his head all at once. Chapter 3, Are You Ning Fan? With cultivation secrets, sacred healing techniques, feng shui magic, divine eye techniques, alchemy. At this moment, Ning Fan felt as if he suddenly gained control over many things, as though they were innate to him. There was still an overwhelming flood of information continuously pouring into his mind. While he could clearly understand the earlier techniques, and felt his brain could handle them, the latter ones seemed like ancient inscriptions completely incomprehensible. Just as Ning Fan thought his mind was about to tear apart, he realized that the information flooding into his brain began to merge, eventually forming into a 9-story glazed tower in his mind. At the same time, a vortex appeared in his lower abdomen, slowly drawing in the warm currents of the world, flowing throughout his body. The feeling of being torn apart immediately vanished. Xiao Fan, do not tell anyone about the 9-layer glazed tower. Focus on your cultivation. When your spiritual consciousness reaches the 7th level, you will know where Mom is. Mom looks forward to seeing you again. As the woman's illusory figure began to completely fade, a few final words entered Ning Fan's mind. Mom. Mom, don't go. Ning Fan yelled and suddenly opened his eyes wide. He quickly sat up from the bed and reached out towards the front. But in the next moment, Ning Fan froze. Because he had embraced an unfamiliar, soft body, his face crashing into a soft chest while his nose inhaled a captivating fragrance that made his head spin. Are you done hugging? A cold voice rang out, and Ning Fan immediately released his grip, looking around in confusion. His eyes fell on a stunningly beautiful woman who exuded an icy aura. His breath became rapid. This woman was incredibly beautiful. Before, he had thought Yang Qiqi was beautiful, but now, he realized that the phrase, "there is always someone better," was true. The woman before him was so beautiful that even 10 Yang Qiqis wouldn't compare. Her figure was tall and slender, her skin smooth and delicate, and her curves, especially the front and back, were full and stunning. Whoosh! Ning Fan suddenly froze in his heart, taking a deep breath. He realized that his eyes were now vaguely able to see through things. But it wasn't entirely clear yet. He tried to focus and activate the secret technique of the divine eyes from his inheritance. Slowly, his eyes began to heat up, and the vision became clearer. In the next moment, the woman's white shirt, black underwear, black skirt, and stockings began to disappear from his sight, one by one. In the end, he saw her completely naked. It was all too big and full. Ning Fan was stunned, his blood boiling. What had just happened wasn't a dream. It was all real. His ability to see through was because of the divine eyes technique in his inheritance. Have you had enough? Jiang Rushua's cold voice sounded again. After a brief daze, Ning Fan quickly said, I'm sorry, I just saw my family in a dream, and I didn't want her to leave. I ended up hugging you by mistake. I didn't mean to. Jiang Rushua snorted coldly and said, since you've woken up, it seems you're not in any serious danger. Her mood wasn't great. For over 20 years, she had never been this close to a man. But just now, this man had tightly embraced her, burying his head into her soft chest and pressing against her body. After releasing his grip, he had kept staring at her chest. If it had been anyone else, she would have definitely beaten them up. But for some reason, she felt no disgust toward him. Why was that? Did you save me? Ning Fan quickly averted his gaze. Looking at his lifesaver this way felt inappropriate. Thank you. But Ning Fan was extremely happy. If the inheritance from his dream was real, then his sister could be saved. He remembered that when the first wave of secret techniques flooded into his mind, the second one was related to healing. Thinking of his sister's illness now, countless solutions immediately appeared in his mind. This made him even happier. No need to thank me. Your life was not meant to end. Jiang Rushua said. You're Ning Fan, right? Ning Fan was taken aback. This beautiful woman was someone he had never met before. How did she know his name? Although puzzled, Ning Fan nodded, yes, that's me. May I ask your name? My surname is Jiang. As for the rest, you're not qualified to know yet. Jiang Rushua replied indifferently. She wasn't ready to tell Ning Fan her full name. Ning Fan felt awkward but quickly accepted it. Indeed, he was just a low-level delivery man, and this woman, based on her appearance and demeanor, was clearly a high-class individual. It was already a great fortune that she had saved him and that he knew her surname. There was no reason to expect to know her full name. President Jiang, it's getting late. You should go back. At that moment, a knock on the door was followed by an arrogant assistant, Jing Xiaoxiao, walking in. Ning Fan instinctively glanced over. This woman had a great figure and was very attractive, with fair skin and a curvy body. He was slightly surprised to realize that this was actually a beautiful CEO. Indeed, she was from an upper-class background. From now on, if you can change your current situation and stop being so useless, then you'll have the right to know my full name, Jiang Rushua said to Ning Fan, turning to head towards the door. After moving Ning Fan to their hotel and spending some time, she needed to return to prepare for the company's project release meeting in Jiang City, which was to take place in 7 days. The companies that had qualified for the project were being evaluated based on various criteria, including their background and strength. She needed to make preliminary selections and backup options for potential partners. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly lit up. If he hadn't received his father's inheritance, he probably wouldn't have felt this hope. But now, with his father's inheritance, and knowing that it was real and extraordinary, he believed that he would no longer be a useless person for the rest of his life. Just then, Ning Fan's gaze fell on Jiang Rushua's departing figure, and his brow furrowed. He suddenly noticed a cold air swirling from her lower abdomen. And this cold air was expanding. Jiang Rushua's face, which had previously held a hint of color, suddenly turned completely pale. She thought to herself, damn it, the cold is flaring up again. Chapter 4, How Should I Cooperate? The cold energy within her body was a deeply hidden secret. Only a handful of people in the entire Jiang family knew about it, including her personal assistant, Jing Xiaoxiao. And it was absolutely not to be shared with anyone else. This cold energy had been with her for many years. It was the reason she had become extremely cold and had an aversion to men. However, after meeting Ning Fan today, she was surprised to find that she didn't feel the usual repulsion toward men. Even though Ning Fan had taken advantage of her, she didn't feel intense dissatisfaction. What was even more shocking was that Ning Fan could immediately identify the cause of her condition. Who? Jiang Rushua took a deep breath, trying to calm herself, but her gaze remained fixed on Ning Fan. Miss Jiang, am I right? Ning Fan asked. If this was correct, it would further confirm that everything he saw in his unconscious state was real. Did you investigate me? Jiang Rushua's face darkened. What? Ning Fan was stunned. He was a little confused. This was their first time meeting. How could she think he investigated her? He clearly figured it out by using the Eye of the God technique from his inheritance. Although he was momentarily confused, Ning Fan quickly became excited. This meant that there was indeed cold energy inside Jiang Rushua's body, which confirmed that everything in his dream was real. Seeing Ning Fan's bewildered expression, Jiang Rushua realized she had misunderstood. The current Ning Fan was just a delivery boy, a lowly figure. How could he possibly have the ability to investigate her? Who? Jiang Rushua sighed again, her gaze on Ning Fan turning even sharper. Then how did you know there was cold energy inside my body? Ning Fan instinctively opened his mouth to say that he could see it because of his ability to see through things. But thinking back to his mother's warning during his inheritance, he quickly changed his explanation. I once studied the four diagnostic methods of traditional Chinese medicine with an elderly TCM practitioner. I observed using their Wang looking and Wen smelling methods. In fact, he had studied it. After his mother's disappearance and his sister's illness, he had bought some books on Chinese medicine or searched for resources online to learn. Is it really possible to do that? Jiang Rushua was taken aback. A shocked expression appeared on her cold face again. She took another deep breath. When she came from the provincial capital, her grandfather's words seemed unbelievable to her, especially after seeing Ning Fan beaten into a bloody mess. But now, her skeptical heart was starting to waver. Suddenly, Jiang Rushua's face turned pale, and the cold energy in her body began to flare up again. Xiao Xiao, medicine, give me the medicine. Jiang Rushua was in extreme discomfort. Zheng Xiao Xiao quickly reacted, opening her bag and taking out some pills, feeding one to Jiang Rushua. Whenever the cold energy flared up, Jiang Rushua relied on this medicine to suppress the violent outburst of energy. However, this time, after taking the medicine, it not only failed to help, but the cold energy intensified, and a thin layer of frost appeared on her skin. The temperature in the entire room seemed to drop suddenly. Miss Jiang. Zheng Xiaoxiao's face turned pale. She hadn't expected things to get this serious. Jiang Rushua's medicine had failed. What should they do now? If this continued, Jiang Rushua would be frozen to death by the cold energy inside her. Ning Fan suddenly saw Jiang Rushua's condition and many possible solutions appeared in his mind. But many of them, he realized, were impossible to execute right now. However, there was one solution he could try, but it wouldn't cure her completely, only provide temporary relief. Ning Fan briefly examined the solution in his mind. His heartbeat quickened, and his expression became slightly strange. He gritted his teeth and said, Miss Jiang, I can treat the cold energy in your body. As he spoke, he focused on the whirlpool in his lower abdomen. When he received his inheritance, the intense pain had been alleviated and finally disappeared thanks to the warm flow within this whirlpool. Ning Fan quickly sensed it and was somewhat surprised because he could actually see the warm flow now. It looked like a dense white mist. Is this spiritual energy? Ning Fan thought to himself. The solution that appeared in his mind to alleviate Jiang Rushua's current condition was to gather the spiritual energy in his palm and press it gently against Jiang Rushua's abdomen. He would move his hand over every cold spot on her body, forcing the cold energy to gather in her throat, allowing Jiang Rushua to cough it out, thereby alleviating the symptoms. You have a way. Jiang Rushua could hardly speak now, but her eyes glowed with hope for the first time. This was hope. This disease had been with her since birth and had never been solved. Every time it flared up, it tortured her horribly. To her surprise, this man who had saved her not only knew the cause of her condition but now said he had a way to help her. This made her feel both suffering from the cold energy and an urgent sense of hope. I have a way, but it can only temporarily alleviate it. I can't completely cure it, Ning Fan said truthfully. Jiang Rushua paused for a moment, then nodded. Okay. As long as your method is effective, whether it can cure me or not, I will give you 100,000 as a reward. 100,000. Ning Fan was shocked. He had never seen so much money in his life. Just helping Jiang Rushue alleviate her symptoms could earn him so much. This was great. He could take the money back and use it to treat his sister's illness. Then he could take her to eat her favorite strawberries, cherries, and durian. He could even take her to her favorite amusement park. Miss Jiang, we should hurry to the hospital. He isn't a doctor. How can he treat you? Zheng Xiaoxiao immediately blocked Ning Fan's path. Miss Jiang's cold energy flare-up is too severe. By the time you get her to the hospital, she'll die on the way. Ning Fan said. Zheng Xiaoxiao fell silent. She realized that Jiang Rushue's condition was indeed dire. She didn't know what to do. Could this man really solve Jiang Rushue's condition? Xiaoxiao, step aside. Let him treat me, Jiang Rushue said with difficulty. Zheng Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth and stepped aside. How will you treat me? Jiang Rushue asked Ning Fan. Do you need any medicine or equipment? No medicine or equipment is needed, but I do need you to cooperate, Miss Jiang, Ning Fan said, taking a deep breath. Okay, how do you need me to cooperate? Jiang Rushue was in immense pain. She was desperate for Ning Fan to help her alleviate the turmoil inside her body. This cold energy was truly killing her. Ning Fan opened his mouth, but thinking about the solution made him feel awkward. He quickly adjusted his mindset, took a deep breath, gathered his courage, and said, I need you to cooperate by taking off your clothes, and be completely naked. Chapter 5, What I'm saying is true. Jiang Rushue's face instantly turned cold. Zheng Xiaoxiao scolded, You scoundrel. Jiang Rushue saved your life, and you're trying to take advantage of her. As she spoke, Zheng Xiaoxiao raised her hand, about to slap Ning Fan. Ning Fan quickly dodged, grabbing her wrist and explaining, I didn't try to take advantage of her. To relieve her symptoms, this is the only way. Heh. Zheng Xiaoxiao sneered. Who would believe your words? You look so honest, but I didn't expect you to be so filthy-minded. Jiang Rushue now looked at Ning Fan with a gaze as sharp as a knife. Ning Fan released Zheng Xiaoxiao's wrist and said, What I said is true. Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. He then met Jiang Rushue's cold, dagger-like gaze and continued, I know you're a high-class person, and you wouldn't risk your life just to let me take advantage of you. If I relieve your symptoms, I get 100,000. 100,000 is equivalent to 2 years of delivering packages, and that's after subtracting food and other expenses. If I relieve your symptoms this time and you give me 100,000, the next time I do it, will you give me another part of the money? It's like my cash cow. No one would be stupid enough to get in the way of money. The cold light in Jiang Rushue's eyes softened somewhat. Originally, Zheng Xiaoxiao wanted to say something more, but after hearing this, she realized Ning Fan had a point. Who, unless they were an idiot, would risk both their life and money just to take advantage of someone? Jiang Rushue took a deep breath. Although she was calm, the thought of having to strip completely naked in front of Ning Fan made her feel humiliated. It was hard for her to accept. A while later, it seemed that the cold energy in her body intensified, and Jiang Rushue could no longer hold back. She looked at Ning Fan and said, If you take advantage of me and can't relieve my symptoms, I'll have someone kill you. Ning Fan didn't doubt the seriousness of Jiang Rushue's words. If the method in his mind didn't work, she might really have someone kill him. He took a deep breath and nodded, saying, All right. Wait. Zheng Xiaoxiao suddenly called out. How will you treat Miss Jiang? Do you need to use your eyes? Ning Fan, slightly nervous, with a flushed face, replied, No, I don't need my eyes. I just need to place my hands on Miss Jiang's abdomen and move them over her body. It's like giving her a massage, pushing the erupting cold energy back to the source. If you don't need your eyes, I'll cover them. Zheng Xiaoxiao took off her thin jacket, folded it a few times, and placed it over Ning Fan's head. Now he can't take advantage of you with his eyes, Rushue. Zheng Xiaoxiao said, satisfied, watching as Ning Fan's head was completely covered. Jiang Rushue breathed a sigh of relief. Although covering Ning Fan's eyes meant he wouldn't be able to take advantage of her with his gaze, the skin-to-skin contact was still inevitable. However, for Jiang Rushue, this was the best outcome. Ning Fan, with his head wrapped up in Zheng Xiaoxiao's fragrant jacket, felt a bit lightheaded. At the same time, he couldn't help but reflect that if he hadn't obtained the Eye of the God technique, doing this might have indeed prevented him from seeing Jiang Rushue's body. But with the eye of the god, even if his eyes were welded shut, he could still see everything clearly. And besides, he had already seen everything. But now, looking at Jiang Rushue, who was completely naked, his blood still boiled. Her body, her skin tone, it was perfect, like jade, soft and smooth to the touch. Who? Taking a deep breath, Ning Fan, now nervous, said, "Miss Jiang, I'm sorry." Then his hand slowly descended toward her body. As soon as his hand touched Jiang Rushue's chest, he felt an inexplicable sensation, a beautiful warmth. This feeling was hard to describe. He had been funding Yang Qiqi's education, and they had even gotten their marriage certificate. But apart from holding hands, they had never had any physical contact, let alone seen each other's bodies. Now, however, he was seeing the body of the woman who had saved his life, and he was taking advantage of her skin. It seemed almost laughable. Ning Fan gathered his spiritual energy, focusing it in his palm. Combined with the Eye of the God technique, he could clearly see the cold energy erupting in Jiang Rushue's body. He began to press on the pressure points along her body, using his hands to push the cold energy back to her chest and throat. Each press and release made Jiang Rushue's face flush even more, and her body became burning hot. She nearly let out an odd, embarrassing sound but managed to suppress it. If she had let it slip, it would have been too humiliating. However, she was also somewhat shocked because she felt a warm sensation where Ning Fan's hand touched her skin, a stark contrast to the icy coldness that had plagued her body earlier. Suddenly, she shivered as Ning Fan's hand began moving toward her abdomen. After pressing there for a while, his hand shifted lower. Unable to hold it in any longer, Jiang Rushue let out a soft moan. Ning Fan's body trembled. He quickly steadied his nerves, concentrating on moving his palm along her body, pushing the cold energy bit by bit toward her chest and throat. An hour passed quickly, and Ning Fan, drenched in sweat, continued massaging Jiang Rushue's body. This method was too mentally exhausting for him, but fortunately, it was working. He had managed to push all the cold energy to her chest and throat. Now, as long as she coughed, the danger of the cold energy eruption would be over. However, Jiang Rushue was unaware that, while at first she had felt some relief from the warmth of Ning Fan's touch, the cold energy now pushed to her chest made her feel even more uncomfortable. Especially in her throat, it felt as if it were freezing, and her breathing became difficult. This made her furious, and she began to think that Ning Fan had deceived her. He was a liar, a scoundrel. He had taken advantage of her body for so long without solving the problem. With that thought, Jiang Rushue decided that when she got back, she would have someone deal with Ning Fan. Just then, Ning Fan's hand withdrew from her body. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, his energy drained, and collapsed on the sofa, saying, "Miss Jiang, I've pushed the cold energy into your chest and throat. You just need to cough it out, and the crisis will be over." Jiang Rushue, furious, was about to argue that Ning Fan was a fraud. But before she could speak, she felt a sudden itch in her throat. Then, she began to cough violently. Chapter 16 Chiu. Every time she coughed, she could clearly see a small ball of cold gas coming out of her mouth. These gases were different from the colorless and almost transparent gases that were usually exhaled, and they were ice blue. It was very strange. Although she didn't know why it was like this, after coughing, Jiang Rushue did feel that she felt much better now. And her whole body was warm, and she had never felt so comfortable before. Ha! For a moment, Jiang Rushue took a deep breath and was extremely shocked. I didn't expect Ning Fan to actually relieve her cold outbreak. Zheng Xiaoxiao was standing by, and her pretty face was also shocked. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, Jiang Rushue coughed. After coughing, her face was returning to normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. No longer had the discomfort just now. Suddenly, Zheng Xiaoxiao's pretty face showed an embarrassed expression. It turned out that Ning Fan was not a hooligan. He really had a way. She just misunderstood him. Then she took Jiang Rushue's clothes and asked her to put them on. She immediately helped Ning Fan untie the clothes covering his eyes, and then apologized to Ning Fan. "Mr. Ning, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you just now." "I misunderstood you just now, too. I'm very sorry." Jiang Rushue also took a deep breath and apologized to Ning Fan. When Ning Fan talked about the cooperation method just now, she also cursed Ning Fan as a scoundrel in her heart, and threatened Ning Fan. Her impression of Ning Fan has changed. It turns out that this man is not as useless as he seems. It seems that there is some reason for Grandpa to let her come to Jiang Chen. She actually mastered a superb medical skill. Even with her head covered tightly, she could accurately massage all parts of her body. However, she didn't know that her body and her best friend Jing Xiaoxiao's body had been seen by Ning Fan's purple gold divine pupil. If the two knew, they would probably not apologize so politely. Ning Fan nodded calmly, then shook his head weakly and said, "It's okay. You saved me, why should I bother with you?" In fact, Ning Fan was also a little happy in his heart. He didn't expect that the solution in this inheritance was really useful. The sister's illness can also be cured. "Mr. Ning, are you okay?" Noticing that Ning Fan was sweating and weak, Jing Xiaoxiao asked while unscrewing a bottle of mineral water for Ning Fan. "Mr. Ning, have some water." "It's okay." Ning Fan took the mineral water and took a big sip. This was the first time that he controlled the spiritual energy to clear the coldness in people's bodies for a long time, which made him tired due to his high concentration of mind. After a few minutes, the feeling of weakness was relieved. He looked at Jiang Rushue again and said, "Miss Jiang, can you add me on WeChat?" Seeing that Jiang Rushue did not respond, Ning Fan explained, "I don't mean anything else. I just can't eradicate your cold for the time being. I can only give you a full body massage every half a month to suppress it all the time. Otherwise, the next time the cold breaks out, it may rebound violently due to today's elimination and suppression, and it will endanger your life if you are not careful." "What?" Jiang Rushue's face changed. When she thought of being touched all over her body by Ning Fan every half a month, she felt some strange reactions in her body. Although she was a little reluctant in her heart, she could only nod with a red face in order to survive. After all, Ning Fan's treatment method was indeed useful to her. During the treatment just now, she couldn't help but hum because Ning Fan gave her such a comfortable massage. Her face was extremely hot at that time. Why did she make such a sound? Now thinking about it, her face became hot again, and she quickly took out her phone and added Ning Fan on WeChat to divert her attention. The temperature on her face returned to normal. After adding WeChat, Jiang Rushue transferred 100,000 yuan to Ning Fan as agreed. "Huh!" Seeing the money, Ning Fan took a deep breath. This was the first time he had received so much money in his life. "You obviously have such great medical skills, why don't you open a clinic or work in a hospital? Do the job of delivering couriers?" Jiang Rushue asked. "I didn't go to college, and I don't have enough diplomas. I can only deliver couriers or run takeout," Ning Fan said. "I used to deliver food, but the platform gave me a short time, and there were too many people on the bus, so the traffic was too heavy and too dangerous. In my first year delivering food, 3 colleagues got into trouble at the same station. One was driving against traffic and was killed by a car, another ran a red light to save time and was killed, and another crashed the front of a Rolls-Royce. Because he couldn't afford the compensation, he was beaten to death. I simply quit and have been delivering express to make a living. Although the money may be less than delivering food, there is no need to race against time every day." Ding ding tilde. Just after he finished speaking, the phone rang. Ning Fan took out his phone and saw that it was his sister Qin Chiu calling. After the call was connected, his sister's anxious voice came from the phone, "Brother, where are you okay?" "Brother Xiaoqiu is fine, he is fine, wait, brother will be back soon," Ning Fan said hurriedly. "I called you more than a dozen times but no one answered. I thought something happened to you." Qin Chiu cried, and finally his heart was relieved. "Silly girl, it's okay. Brother is fine. You wait for me to come back at home. Brother will bring you delicious food later." After Ning Fan comforted his sister, he realized that his sister had called him 18 or 19 times during the period from his coma to now. "You have a sister?" Jiang Rushue asked. "Yes." Ning Fan nodded and said, "If there is nothing else, I will go back first. My sister is worried at home alone. Contact me on WeChat next time if there is anything." Ning Fan left the hotel after that. He went to the sad place of the university parking lot first. His electric donkey was still there. After arriving, Ning Fan could still see the blood where he fell. He couldn't control his expression and became a little excited, clenching his hands. With anger in his eyes, he gritted his teeth and said, "Yang Qiqi, Chen Wei, right. I will make you regret it." He will make these two people pay for this. He can't take this beating for nothing. He can't be cheated on by them for nothing. When he got home, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening, and Qiqi hadn't slept yet. Seeing Ning Fan coming back, a happy smile suddenly appeared on his worried face, and he threw himself into Ning Fan's arms. Brother. Silly girl, what are you worried about? Brother is very stable in delivering express delivery. What can happen? Don't worry about me in the future. Ning Fan rubbed Qiqi's head lovingly. Look what delicious food I brought back for you. Ning Fan put the good things he brought back on the table and opened them one by one. Chapter 7 Swallowing Heaven Technique. Strawberries, mangoes, tiger skin chicken feet, mantis shrimp, air-dried beef. Qiqi's two little eyes seemed to be shining. He was so greedy that he picked up two strawberries, wiped them, and stuffed one into Ning Fan's mouth, and then put one into his own mouth. Brother, this strawberry is so sweet. Qiqi was very happy. It tastes good, right? Ning Fan smiled and rubbed his sister's head again. Try this tiger skin chicken feet. It smelled so good when I bought it. Brother, try it too. Qiqi also added a chicken foot to Ning Fan. Okay. After Ning Fan finished eating, he took the mantis shrimp to the kitchen. Xiao, eat some fruit and chicken feet first, watch TV, and brother will make mantis shrimp for you. Soon, Qiqi's favorite salt and pepper mantis shrimp was brought out by Ning Fan, and Ning Fan smiled and watched Qiqi eat. Since his mother disappeared, his sister and wife Qiqi are everything to him. As long as he can make them both live well, he will be satisfied. But after what happened this afternoon, there is only his sister in his world now. When his sister is happy, he is happy. After eating, Ning Fan asked his sister to wash up and go to bed. Tomorrow he had to go to school. Qiqi was only 16 this year and was still in the second year of high school. But she had grown up to be a beautiful girl. So, Ning Fan gave the only bedroom in the house to Qiqi, and he slept on the sofa in the living room every night. After Ning Fan finished cleaning up, he fell directly on the sofa. After a short rest, Ning Fan sat up. When he was unconscious today, the things he received in his mind had not been digested yet, and he wanted to sort them out. He tried to use his consciousness to feel the existence of the 9-story glazed tower deep in his mind, and it took a long time to feel it. In the deepest part of his mind, the 9-story glazed tower exuded faint light. Ning Fan's consciousness came to the step, looked at the entrance, and carefully printed his hand on the door. A ray of light shot out. Ning Fan subconsciously covered his eyes with his hands. When he recovered, he found that he had entered the glazed tower. But it was only the first floor of the tower. In this floor, he saw detailed immortal cultivation secrets, medical sage arts, alchemy, divine pupil secrets, etc. Through the detailed immortal cultivation secrets, he knew that there was a more advanced civilization in the world. This civilization is immortal cultivation. In this immortal cultivation civilization, powerful immortal cultivators can fly into the sky and hide in the ground, and are omnipotent. In a single thought, thousands of miles can be frozen, and the sun and the moon can be colorless. What's more, in a single thought, tens of thousands of miles can be crossed in the void. So powerful. Ning Fan was very shocked. Before, he had only seen these records in novels and cartoons, but he didn't expect that these were all true. Ning Fan knew the first few realms of the immortal cultivation civilization. They are Qi refining, Bigu, foundation building, and golden pill. There are 9 levels in the Qi refining realm. From the foundation building stage onwards, each major realm can be called the initial stage, the middle stage, the late stage, the small perfection, and the great perfection. But in fact, it is still divided into 9 levels. It's just that the names are different between cultivators. The first to second levels can be called the initial stage. The third to fourth levels can be called the middle stage. The fifth to sixth levels can be called the late stage. The seventh to eighth levels can be called the small perfection. The ninth level can be called the great perfection. As for the realms after the golden elixir, Ning Fan did not see them on this level. He came to the entrance of the second level and found a big door here. Ning Fan tried to push the door open. As soon as he put his hand on it, the door lit up with a burst of light and directly knocked him away. How could this happen? Ning Fan stood up with a headache. He came to the door again and observed carefully. Suddenly, his expression was slightly shocked. Because their words, foundation building, were engraved on the door. Does it have to be in the realm of foundation building to enter the next level? Ning Fan was puzzled. Ning Fan tried to push the door again, but was knocked away again. Only then did he realize that he should reach the foundation building stage before he could enter the next level. Back to the center of the first level again, Ning Fan began to understand the medical skills here. Only then did he know why many solutions suddenly appeared in his mind when he saw and knew the relevant diseases. That was because when he accepted his father's inheritance, he had already completed the integration of the Supreme Medical Classic in his mind. It was like being born with it. The Supreme Medical Classic contains records of all difficult and complicated diseases in the world, as well as solutions. It also contains a magical acupuncture technique. This acupuncture technique is called the 9-9 Resurrection Needle. It can make the bones white and the dead alive. Then Ning Fan began to understand the secret technique of the divine pupil. Only then did he know that the divine pupil technique that could make his eyes have the ability to see through was called the purple gold divine pupil. The purple gold divine pupil is divided into 9 levels. The first level can see through everything. As for the functions in the future, there is no detailed record, only one sentence. When you practice to perfection, you can reverse reincarnation and time with one glance. Ning Fan took a deep breath. He thought that the purple gold divine pupil with the ability of perspective was already very powerful, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. He memorized the method of practicing the purple gold divine pupil. Ning Fan continued to understand the secrets and secret techniques. The more he read, the more shocked Ning Fan was. The inheritances his father prepared for him were really amazing. Even if he didn't take the path of cultivating immortals, he could live a glorious life from then on, worry-free for life, and have an extraordinary status. For example, the medical sage technique, which can directly make him a great doctor, a living huartuor, a living bien-q. However, since he has obtained so many inheritances prepared for him by his father, who he has never seen, Ning Fan will certainly not be so self-degrading and choose only one. He is not a child anymore, he is an adult. What multiple-choice questions do adults have to answer? They all. He must master every inheritance and practice it to the extreme. He must not only become the supreme person in this secular world, but also the supreme person in the immortal civilization. He doesn't want to be a waste despised by others anymore. He wants young Qiqi to regret what she did to him. He also wants to protect his sister. Take his sister to find his mother and the father he has never met. Ning Fan returned to the immortal secret method again, because after reading all the inheritances of this first layer, Ning Fan found that if any inheritance wants to be practiced to the extreme, it must embark on the immortal road. Only by embarking on the immortal road can you flexibly mobilize the spiritual energy. In order to complete the coordinated practice, such as the purple gold divine pupil, and some treatment methods in the medical sage art, the cooperation of spiritual energy is required. For the practice of the purple gold divine pupil, not only the first ray of purple air in the morning and the moonlight at night are needed to assist the practice, but also spiritual energy is needed. Only in this way can all the functions brought by the purple gold divine pupil be maintained. To embark on the path of cultivating immortals, one must practice the most suitable technique for oneself. Technique. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. But he understood it very quickly. He had watched a lot of martial arts TV shows. The so-called technique should be similar to the 9-yang magic art, right? It can enable people to flexibly mobilize the spiritual energy in their bodies and do some incredible things. Ning Fan searched the first floor of the glazed tower and only found one technique. It is called the heaven swallowing technique. Chapter 8 Female Driver. Ning Fan looked at the technique in front of him. He wanted to read it, but when his fingers touched the book carrying the technique, it turned into countless light spots and merged into Ning Fan's mind. All of a sudden, Ning Fan understood the heaven swallowing technique. At the same time, he also knew that in the civilization of cultivating immortals, there are supreme spells and techniques, and the level system of these two is the same. It is divided into 5 major levels: immortal, heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow. Each major level is divided into 3 minor levels: primary, medium, and advanced. But then Ning Fan was stunned. The name of the heaven swallowing technique is obviously very domineering, but the actual level is only the lowest yellow level primary technique. What's going on? Ning Fan was puzzled. But he understood the function of the heaven swallowing technique. The function of the heaven swallowing technique is very simple, that is, swallowing. It can swallow the energy in the body of all things and transform it into what you need. There will be no side effects. Ning Fan's consciousness came out from the depths of his mind, returned to his body, and opened his eyes in shock. When he received the inheritance, he felt like he had mastered many things, as if he was born with them. After the experience in the glazed tower just now, Ning Fan felt this more strongly, and found that he had mastered these things more proficiently and more clearly. Like the supreme medical classics, the 9-9 rejuvenation needle, he has already mastered them to the level of great success. She can cure her sister's illness at will. But she needs to prepare a set of acupuncture tools, otherwise the 9-9 rejuvenation needle cannot be used. The purple gold divine pupil can also be opened and used at will. But it only has the first level function, perspective. As for the heaven swallowing technique, he can also clearly know how to operate it. For him, it is as simple as eating. Then Ning Fan followed the running route and operated the heaven swallowing technique. At the moment of operation, Ning Fan could feel that there seemed to be some strange energy between heaven and earth rushing towards his body, and finally being sucked into his body and integrated into the vortex in his lower abdomen. When treating Jiang Rushue today, he consumed a lot of spiritual energy in the vortex, and only a few strands of hair were left. With the replenishment now coming in, the lower abdomen was filled up again. Soon, the spiritual energy began to flow out of the vortex and began to flow along Ning Fan's meridians and blood vessels, which made him feel very comfortable. One night passed just like that. When Ning Fan woke up the next day, it was already 6 o'clock. It was dawn. Ha! Ning Fan exhaled a breath of turbid air, and was shocked. Last night, he didn't sleep for a minute and kept practicing. Although he stayed up all night, he was not tired at all, but refreshed. However, it was a pity that after one night, he did not successfully enter the Qi refining realm. But Ning Fan could feel that his physical fitness had become much stronger. The whole person was full of strength. If he had this strength in the parking lot yesterday, he believed that he could easily knock down those 7 or 8 people. At this time, a foul smell came. Ning Fan found that a thick layer of black mud appeared on his body at some point. The current foul smell came from it. After smelling it for a long time, Ning Fan couldn't help but retching several times. He hurriedly ran into the bathroom to wash. After washing, he felt more refreshed, and looked several years younger, and his skin color became very good. The key is that he is also more handsome, not much worse than those young handsome guys. Ning Fan simply cleaned up the living room and started to prepare breakfast for his sister Qin Qiu. Breakfast was ready, and Qin Qiu got up and washed up. Let's eat. Ning Fan came out of the kitchen with eggs, milk, and buns. Brother. After Qin Qiu sat down, he looked at Ning Fan and was slightly stunned. What's wrong? Ning Fan put breakfast on the table and scratched Qin Qiu's nose. You seem to have become much more handsome. Qin Qiu took a deep breath and said, and he is really handsome. Hasn't your brother always been handsome? Ning Fan put the peeled eggs in Qin Qiu's bowl. Stop looking, eat quickly. I'll take you to school after eating. I still have to deliver a package. After eating, Ning Fan rode a small electric scooter to take Qin Qiu to school. On the way, Qin Qiu sat behind the small electric scooter, hugged Ning Fan's waist and asked, Brother, sister-in-law, I haven't seen her for a long time. Ning Fan trembled and breathed a little quickly. In addition, the traffic light in front counted down. Ning Fan stopped suddenly, and Qin Qiu was scared and asked quickly, Brother, what's wrong? Nothing. Ning Fan took a deep breath. When he started the car again, Ning Fan still told Qin Qiu about Yang Qiqi's betrayal. As if he could still feel the anger in Ning Fan, Qin Qiu got off the car at the school gate and looked at Ning Fan and comforted him, Brother, it's okay. If the new doesn't go, the old won't come. Yang Qiqi looks down on people. I believe my brother will make them unable to reach her and regret it for the rest of their lives sooner or later. Brother, don't think about this troublesome thing on your way to deliver the express today. It's easy to get into trouble if you think too much when riding a bike to deliver goods. You have to be well. After I get into college, I will work hard with you, and our little family will definitely get better. Silly girl, I won't get into trouble for such a woman. You study hard. Ning Fan rubbed Qin Qiu's head and told her to go to school quickly. It was time for morning self-study soon. Seeing Qin Qiu enter the school, Ning Fan turned the car around and drove in the opposite direction. Although he obtained the inheritance yesterday and earned 100,000 yuan with the skills in the inheritance, he still had to work to make money. Life needed to move forward. When Ning Fan was riding his bike normally and preparing to cross the green light according to the traffic light, a pink 911 came from the right at a very fast speed, trying to run a 3-second yellow light. The 3-second yellow light flashed very quickly, and it turned red after a few flashes. The green light in Ning Fan's direction came on, and Ning Fan rode across the road. The driver of the 911 was a very beautiful woman. She saw that she had failed to run the yellow light, and Ning Fan, who was riding a small electric scooter, appeared in the middle of the road. She hurriedly stepped on the brakes, but unexpectedly stepped on the accelerator. Boom! A huge roar of the engine suddenly sounded, and the 911 suddenly shot out. The speed was very fast. It was so fast that Ning Fan could not react, and he was knocked away with the small electric scooter. Bang! After the car fell to the ground, it fell apart directly. As for Ning Fan, if he had not obtained the inheritance yesterday, I am afraid that this would have directly cost him his life. After several somersaults, he landed safely on the ground. Fuck, can you drive? Ning Fan was a little angry. Now he was late for work because he was delivering parcels. The new station master was already unhappy with him, and he would definitely take the opportunity to mess with him. Female driver, you mistook the brake for the accelerator. It rushed over like a beam of light. Ning Fan cursed again, and the beauty in the 911 opened the door and walked down in a beautiful little skirt and high heels. Chapter 9. Qiqi doesn't want to lose her grandfather. I'm sorry, are you okay? The beauty hurried over and said apologetically. Ning Fan looked back and saw a beautiful face. This woman had long hair and delicate cheeks, which made people unable to find any flaws. She also had a very good figure, which was convex and curvy, and was very full. With a slim short skirt and a pair of high heels on her feet, she was extremely beautiful. Ning Fan was a little stunned. What happened to him? Since being betrayed by young Qiqi yesterday, he has been able to meet beautiful women for 2 consecutive days. Yesterday's Jiang Rushue, today's girl. They are all very beautiful and have their own characteristics, no worse than those female stars on TV, or even better. Female stars can only be a foil in front of them. I'm really sorry. Tang Chuchu apologized again. I was in a hurry to go to the hospital, and I wanted to run a yellow light, but I failed and accidentally hit you. I'm really sorry, is there anything wrong with you? If so, get in my car and I'll take you to the hospital. Don't worry, I will compensate you for all your losses today. You just got your driver's license yesterday. Ning Fan came back to his senses. Seeing that she was so sincere and beautiful, and didn't look down on others like those rich girls, the anger in his heart disappeared immediately. Yeah. Tang Chuchu was stunned, but still nodded. Asked, how do you know? Because you don't even know that running a yellow light is illegal. Ning Fan said lightly. Pfft. Tang Chuchu was amused by Ning Fan. I'm fine, just compensate me with a small electric scooter. Ning Fan pointed at the small electric scooter that fell apart on the ground and said. Okay. Tang Chuchu patted his chest. My name is Tang Chuchu. I'll add you on WeChat first. Send me your home address. When I'm done today, I'll buy a new small electric scooter and send it to you. Okay. Ning Fan was not polite and took out his mobile phone directly to show the QR code. After adding WeChat, Tang Chuchu said in surprise, it's strange. I hit you at such a fast speed just now, and the car fell apart, but you were not hurt at all. Maybe it's just luck. Ning Fan said casually. Ahem. A quick cough came from the 911 car, the door opened, and an old man walked down. The old man has a very good aura, and it can be seen that he has been in a high position for a long time. It's just that the old man's spirit is not very good, and his face is a little pale. The cough just now was also weak. Grandpa, why did you get off? Get in the car and rest. Tang Chuchu hurried over to support the old man. It's okay, I'll come down to see if you have apologized to others and compensated them. The old man coughed a few more times and said. Grandpa, don't worry. Tang Chuchu said. Get in the car quickly, the green light will be green soon, I will take you to the hospital first. As Tang Chuchu said, he helped the old man into the car. Ning Fan suddenly said, Tang Qiqi, it's too late to send him to the hospital now. When the old man got off the car, he could see that the old man was in poor health and was in danger. He could die at any time. It takes at least 10 minutes from this place to the nearest hospital. And the disease in the old man's body could relapse at any time within 2 minutes. Once the disease relapses, even gods can hardly save him. I have a good impression of Tang Qiqi and the old man. In addition, in order to relieve my sister's symptoms, I bought a medical book to study, and I always remember a sentence in the book. It is the doctor's duty to save the dying and the wounded. Therefore, Ning Fan intends to give Tang Qiqi a kind reminder. What do you mean? Tang Qiqi was unhappy. Grandpa treats her best, and she doesn't want him to get into trouble. The old man frowned, and was obviously not happy with Ning Fan's words. Your grandfather has a hidden disease on the right side of his chest, which directly involves the blood vessels near the heart and causes signs of compression. Once squeezed, the blood vessels will be blocked, causing problems with the heart's blood supply to their whole body. Ning Fan said calmly. Your grandpa must have had an attack at home today, so you drove him to the hospital in a hurry, but now, if you wait for 2 minutes at most, he will have another attack. The blood vessels near the heart will be squeezed and burst due to the continuous attacks. Once they burst, it's over. Unless you can send him to the hospital before the second attack, and perform vascular support, fixation, and dredging surgery. Otherwise, your grandpa can only enter the countdown of his life. What are you talking about? Tang Qiqi frowned. My grandpa just has a common cold, where is the hidden disease? Ning Fan shrugged. It seems that Tang Qiqi didn't know what disease her grandpa had. Qiqi. The old man was shocked at this time, and asked Tang Qiqi not to speak anymore, looking at Ning Fan in surprise. My friend, you actually know medicine and can see my problem at a glance. Tang Qiqi was stunned, but soon she understood and said anxiously, Grandpa, what's going on? Didn't you tell me that it was just a common cold? Don't scare me. Qiqi doesn't want to lose Grandpa. Well, I know a little bit and I can see it. Ning Fan responded. Hearing Ning Fan's answer, Tang Qiqi's anxious expression eased. Then his eyes lit up and he looked at Ning Fan and said, Ning Fan, since you can see my grandpa's illness, you should be able to cure it. Can you save my grandpa's life? The Tang family is willing to be friends with you forever. In the future, if you need anything, as long as our Tang family can do it, we will do our best. Tang family? The Tang family behind the Tang group. Ning Fan asked. Is Tang's Express also your industry? Yes. Tang Qiqi nodded quickly. Young friend, do you know Tang's Express? The old man was slightly surprised. This is the largest express company in Jiangbei province, and it is the only one in Jiangchen. Ning Fan said. Who hasn't heard of Tang's Express? Only your express can deliver goods to the door, while other express delivery companies all leave them at the post station. This is why you can dig a large piece of meat from the fixed express delivery industry share. The old man was very surprised. He didn't expect Ning Fan to know so much about the reason why Tang's Express took off. Young friend, are you also engaged in the express delivery industry? The old man asked. Yes. Ning Fan nodded awkwardly. Yes, I deliver express at your Tang's Express. The old man and Tang Qiqi were both stunned. They didn't expect Chen Fan to deliver express at their Tang family's industry. A person who can see his own symptoms at a glance, delivering express. This is too much of a waste of talent. Young friend, cough cough cough. The old man wanted to say something, but his breathing became disordered all of a sudden, and he kept coughing, and his face suddenly turned pale. Chapter 10 Finding Faults. Then his body began to tremble. Grandpa. Seeing that he was about to fall to the ground, Tang Qiqi quickly supported the old man, and her voice was filled with tears. Please, save my grandpa. My Tang family will always remember your favor. Okay. Ning Fan nodded and did not refuse. Rescuing the dying and the wounded is the duty of those who master medical skills. Besides, you can also gain a network of connections. This is worth it. Hold him. Tang Qiqi didn't know what Ning Fan was going to do, but instinctively cooperated with him. At this time, Ning Fan gathered the spiritual energy in his body into his fingers, and quickly tapped several acupuncture points on the old man's body according to the solution in the supreme medical scripture. After mastering the heaven swallowing technique last night, he was not only more adept at mobilizing the spiritual energy in his body, but also his speed of attack was greatly improved. Before Tang Qiqi could react, Ning Fan finished treating the old man. The old man's coughing stopped immediately, his face gradually turned red, and his body stopped shaking. "Grandpa, how do you feel now?" Tang Qiqi was so excited that tears came out when she saw that the old man was fine. Tang Wuqiang now felt very comfortable all over his body, and all the problems he had in the past seemed to have disappeared at this moment. "I feel very good now. This young friend is my lifesaver, Tang Wuqiang. Qiqi, please invite the young friend to our Tang family to sit down," Tang Wuqiang said with a proud face, and his eyes subconsciously went to find Ning Fan. But he was stunned for a moment, and Tang Qiqi was also stunned at this time. There was no sign of Ning Fan around him. It turned out that Ning Fan had just finished treating Tang Wuqiang and looked at the time. It was already past the latest working time. It was already 9 o'clock when he was hit just now. This is considered late. 3 times the salary will be deducted for being late once. If you are late for half an hour, you will be treated as absent from work and fired. This is the rule made by the new station master. He is now counting on this job to make money. If he loses it, what will happen to his and his sister's living expenses? Although Jiang Rushue gave him 100,000 yesterday, it is not a long-term solution. Unless she gives him 100,000 every day, but how is that possible? "Qiqi, where is the little friend?" Tang Wuqiang reacted and asked anxiously. Ning Fan saved his life, let alone inviting him to dinner. He didn't even have time to thank him properly. This is not okay. He must find Ning Fan. Grandpa may be in a hurry to go to work, Tang Qiqi said. Then quickly check within the group to find out which station this little friend is in our Tang's Express, take me to thank him properly, and then arrange a time to have dinner together, Tang Wuqiang said. Tang Qiqi immediately took out her mobile phone and searched in the group's corporate WeChat. Soon she found the Tang's Express station where Ning Fan was. So the grandfather and grandson changed their route and rushed to this station. At this time, Ning Fan had just run to the station. After running for a long time and a long distance, Ning Fan found that he didn't feel tired at all, just as easy as eating and drinking. Is this the benefit of practicing the technique? Ning Fan was very surprised. If he had run like this before, he would have been sweating and panting. "Ning Fan, you don't want to do it anymore, right? Do you know what time it is now?" A man walked out of the station warehouse and shouted at Ning Fan. This is Ning Fan's current station commander, his surname is Duan. Since he came to this station, he has disliked Ning Fan. It was because Ning Fan didn't give Duan Zhixiang a red envelope to curry favor with him on the day he came. Ning Fan also knew this, so he tried his best to avoid work mistakes and lateness every day, and he had never been caught. However, he was bumped by Tang Qiqi today, which directly delayed him for a long time, resulting in absenteeism now. "What? Nothing to say?" Duan Zhixiang sneered. "Since you have nothing to say, then pack up your things, go through the resignation procedures and get out." Ning Fan frowned and said, "The company stipulates that you will be fired only if you are absent from work more than 3 times. I only did it once. What right do you have to fire me?" "Why?" Duan Zhixiang sneered. "Because I am the station master of this site now, I have the final say on the rules of this site. If you don't accept it, if you have the ability, go and tell the leaders of the group. If you don't have that ability, get out as soon as possible." Duan Zhixiang snorted coldly and said, "I have worked in Tang's Express Group for more than 10 years. Which station in Jiangcheng have I not worked in? Who doesn't call me brother when they see me, and doesn't give me a red envelope to please me? Only you don't have the vision. Since you don't have that, get out and don't get in my way. Brother Xiang, don't argue with Ning Fan. How about this? I will give you his red envelope." At this time, a simple and honest voice sounded. Then a figure came over. This was Ning Fan's colleague, Fang Yuanquan, a good guy. Whenever there was any specialty at home, he would cut it into a fresh keeping box and bring it to the colleagues at the station to taste. Knowing that Ning Fan's sister was in poor health, Fang Yuanquan also bought a lot of Chinese medicine and supplements for Ning Fan. Ning Fan was very grateful to this big brother. At the critical moment, no other colleagues at the station helped to speak up, only this big brother helped to speak up, and Ning Fan was even more grateful to this big brother. If there was a chance, he would definitely thank the big brother. Am I the one who needs that red envelope? Duan Zhixiang sneered. If you dare to offend me, you must be prepared to be driven away by me. Others dare not speak up for this kid, but you dare to speak up for him. I'm afraid you don't want to work at Tang's Express anymore. Do you want me to let you go too? Brother Xiang, do you think this will work? Fang Yuanquan said with a smile. I'll pay 2 for Ning Fan, and I'll pay 2 more for myself, and give them to you. Can you let this go? Ning Fan has a younger sister at home. If she loses her job, it will be very difficult. Get lost. Duan Zhixiang said coldly. Difficulties have nothing to do with me. I'm not Guanyin Bodhisattva. For red envelopes are only 400 yuan. Do you want to get rid of me? Do you think I'm a beggar? Brother Xiang. Fang Yuanquan was slightly stunned and wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Duan Zhixiang. Shut up. Duan Zhixiang raised his hand and was about to slap Fang Yuanquan. Fang Yuanquan was an honest and simple man who had never fought. Seeing this scene, he subconsciously closed his eyes. After a few seconds, he found that there was no pain on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw Ning Fan blocking him and holding Duan Zhixiang's wrist. At this moment, Duan Zhixiang's face turned pale, and there were beads of sweat the size of beans on his brow. He didn't expect that Ning Fan, who looked thin, was so strong. Chapter 11. Ning Fan, what do you think? Now he felt that his wrist was going to be crushed by Ning Fan. Damn, it hurts so much. Duan Zhixiang couldn't help it and cursed. Let me go. Ning Fan pushed Duan Zhixiang away with a little force. Looking at Duan Zhixiang's staggering body, Ning Fan was shocked. He didn't expect that after starting the inheritance practice last night, even if he didn't successfully embark on the road of cultivation, his physical fitness and reaction became very fast, and his strength became very strong. Even though he pushed lightly, Duan Zhixiang's nearly 200-pound body actually retreated 7 or 8 steps back. You dare to push me? You stinky boy, I can't kill you today. Duan Zhixiang felt very embarrassed and angry. He grabbed a stick from the side and rushed towards Ning Fan. Just as the stick was raised, before it fell on Ning Fan rushed over and punched Duan Zhixiang in the stomach. Bang! Duan Zhixiang's 200-pound body flew out like a kite with a broken string. Fang Yuanquan, who was about to remind Ning Fan to be careful, and the other people who were watching the excitement were stunned. Looking at this scene in disbelief. Ning Fan himself was also stunned. His current strength was too great. Ning Fan, right. You dare to hit me. Duan Zhixiang felt pain, his face was ugly, and he spit out a mouthful of blood. He got up from the ground and said angrily. You hit me first. Ning Fan frowned. You asked for it. I asked for it. Duan Zhixiang sneered. I'm telling you, I'm your boss, even if I fucking stab you, you have to bear it. Today, I'm not only going to make you get out of here, but also make you pay $1 million. If you don't pay, I'll send you to jail. Just then, a pink Porsche 911 came speeding and stopped steadily beside. The next second, a woman with a great figure and outstanding temperament got out of the car. It was Tang Qiqi. Her pretty face was full of coldness, staring at Duan Zhixiang coldly and said, Har, what position do you hold in Tang's Express? How come I didn't know there was someone as capable as you? At this moment, Tang Qiqi was completely different from the playful one just now. Their whole person was extremely powerful. Fuck, who are you, bitch? Do I need to tell you what position I hold in Tang's Express? Duan Zhixiang, a low-level manager, usually doesn't see Tang Qiqi. He was already angry, and before he calmed down, a woman came to question him for no reason, which made him even more angry, and he cursed directly. Who do you say I am? Tang Qiqi narrowed her eyes. She said word by word. What's wrong, bitch? Are you not convinced? Do you think you are great just because you drive a sports car? Duan Zhixiang said coldly. I have seen many socialites like you. Did you get a sports car by selling your body? Duan Zhixiang stared at Tang Qiqi's proud body with a wretched face and said, I think you are not bad looking. Do you want to make some money from me tonight? I'll make money from you. Suddenly, a burst of curse came from behind. A young man in a suit walked out of the express station office with a gloomy face, raised his hand and slapped Duan Zhixiang in the face. I think your whole family is a bitch. Duan Zishan covered his face and looked at the young man, very aggrieved. Brother Li, what are you doing? Wang Hongli is the district manager of this area of Tang's Express and Duan Zishan's immediate superior. At this moment, he glanced at Duan Zishan coldly, and was so angry that he slapped him in the face again, saying coldly, "Fuck your mother." Although Duan Zishan, a low-level manager, had never seen Tang Chuchu, he had seen her. Duan Zishan was stunned. He didn't know why his elder brother beat him. He received red envelopes and benefits every month at each station, and he had to take a large part of it and hand it over to Wang Hongli. Wang Hongli's face turned pale, and he walked to Tang Chuchu tremblingly. Then he said with a trembling voice, "Ms. Tang. Miss Tang, why are you here?" Because she was facing away from the sun, Tang Chuchu's face looked particularly cold, which made Wang Hongli even more scared. "Your name is Wang Hongli, right? When I attended the group meeting with my father before, I saw you on the list of district managers. This is the first time we met. I didn't expect that the employees under your district are so powerful." Tang Chuchu said coldly. "Ms. Tang, we are nothing in front of you," Wang Hongli said hurriedly. "Really?" Tang Chuchu slapped Wang Hongli in the face. "Then your men dare to bully even my friends of the Tang family." Don't dare, Wang Hongli said hurriedly. "Do you think that your sister Wang Wei is the boss of the underground world in the 7th district of Jiangcheng, so you can ignore the Tang family?" Tang Chuchu said coldly again. No. Wang Hongli was sweating profusely. Although his sister was a big boss in the Jiangcheng underground world, she was nothing compared to the Tang family. And this was one of the reasons why he didn't stay with his sister to enjoy the good life, but came to work for Tang's Express under the Tang family. He wanted to take this opportunity to tie up with the Tang family. This way, the two siblings would have a better background in the future. Wang Hongli said again, "Miss Tang, I really didn't know that this big guy was a friend of the Tang family. If I knew, I would beat him to death the first time this kid was disrespectful to the big guy." Duan Zishan was a little scared watching from the side. He was panicking. Tang family. In Jiangcheng, the only family that could scare Wang Hongli so much was the Tang family behind Tang's Express. He had kicked the titanium alloy steel plate. How could Ning Fan, who looked ordinary, know the eldest lady of the Tang family? "Miss Tang, don't worry. I will give you and this big boss a satisfactory answer for your matter today." Before Wang Hongli finished speaking, Duan Zishan, who was standing beside him, knelt on the ground out of fear. He kept kowtowing and said in a trembling voice, "Miss Tang, Ning Fan, I didn't recognize the great man. Please forgive me once. Don't bother with a small person like me." "Ning Fan, what do you think?" Tang Chuchu looked at Ning Fan. The decision-making power was handed over to Ning Fan. Ning Fan looked at Duan Zishan, frowned and said, "I don't want to see him again." Hearing this, Duan Zishan felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He was cold all over. He knew he was going to die. Sure enough, the next second, Wang Hongli waved his hand and said, "Drag him away." Then, several people rushed out of the station office. Chapter 12. Within reach but out of reach. These are the people Wang Wei sent to work with Wang Hongli. Usually, they are doing serious work at Tang's Express, and they are not used. I didn't expect to be used today. Soon, Duan Zishan was dragged away like a dead dog. "I know the purpose of your coming to work for our Tang family's group." Tang Chuchu stared at Wang Hongli and said, "I can understand it. So, in the future, I don't want to see things like today again. Otherwise, you will end up miserably." Yes. Wang Hongli nodded quickly. Ning Fan was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that Tang Chuchu, whom he met for the first time on the street, would have such a strong side. This aura is very strong. Completely opposite to her playful appearance. "Mr. Ning, the amount in this card is my apology today." Wang Hongli took out a card and handed it to Ning Fan. "The password is 88s. Ning Fan was stunned. How powerful is the Tang family in Jiangcheng? Just listening to the conversation between the two, Wang Hongli is obviously not an ordinary person. He also has a background, but he is like a dog in front of Tang Chuchu. Extremely scared. Strictly speaking, this matter has nothing to do with Wang Hongli, but because he knows Tang Chuchu, he directly gives himself a sum of money as an apology. Just when Ning Fan was about to refuse, Wang Hongli had already left. At the same time, he He also dispersed the surrounding staff and asked them to devote themselves to today's work seriously. Ms. Tang, you keep this card. It's not appropriate for me to hold it. Ning Fan handed the card to Tang Chuchu. What's inappropriate? Tang Chuchu smiled and said, you saved my grandfather, which is a great favor to our Tang family. You will always be our best friend. Since you are our friend, whoever provokes you in this city must consider the anger of our Tang family. Just giving you a sum of money as an apology to ease our anger is actually a great favor to him. Okay. Ning Fan asked again in confusion. Why did you come here? After you saved Grandpa asked me to bring him to you quickly. I want to invite you to our house to sit and thank you. Tang Chuchu said. If you hadn't helped, I would have no Grandpa in this life. Nothing, just a little effort. Ning Fan said casually. The reason why he saved them at that time was not only because he had a good impression of the grandfather and grandson, but also because of their identities. He could establish his first personal network in Jiangcheng because of this. If he needed them in the future, he might be able to use them. If Tang Chuchu hadn't arrived suddenly just now, once Duan Zishan called the police, he would really be in trouble. So Ning Fan said, I have to thank you for coming in time just now, otherwise I would have to go in for dinner. Humph. Tang Chuchu snorted. In Jiangcheng, no one dares to arrest my Tang family's friends. Ning Fan couldn't help but smile. This Tang Chuchu is really good at talking and pretty. Such a woman is really easy to like. It's just a pity that he is already a married man and will soon become a divorced man. The two of them talked for a while, and Tang Wuqiang, who was sitting in the car, opened the door and got out. The reason why he didn't get out just now was that he was thinking that his granddaughter was still single and had no boyfriend. And Ning Fan was not a simple person just by virtue of his superb medical skills in treating him and his ability to see the root cause of his illness at a glance. If he could make such an excellent person his grandson-in-law, he wouldn't have to worry about the future development of the Tang family even if he left. Such a person, don't look at his low status now, given time, I'm afraid the whole Jiangcheng will crawl at his feet. Young friend, we should thank you today. If you hadn't acted in time, I would have died. Tang Wuqiang walked towards Qin Chuan. The Tang family will never forget this favor, and I, Tang Wuqiang, will never forget it either. I wonder if it would be convenient for you to go to the Tang family with me and have a meal. Old man, I'm at work now, I'm afraid I don't have time. Ning Fan said. How about noon? I remember that Tang's Express has a 2-hour break at noon every day. Tang Wuqiang asked. Ning Fan didn't refuse, and nodded, noon is fine, give me an address, and I'll go there myself at noon. Soon Tang Chuchu sent the location of the Tang family to Ning Fan's mobile phone. When leaving, Tang Chuchu playfully winked at Ning Fan, see you at noon. Okay. When Tang Chuchu was about to leave, Ning Fan suddenly shouted, wait. What's wrong? Tang Chuchu asked. My electric scooter, didn't you say you would give me a new one? Can someone send it here for me? Ning Fan said. Otherwise, I can't come here at noon, and I can't go home at night. Puff. Tang Chuchu chuckled. Okay, I know. After saying that, she stepped on the accelerator and left. Ning Fan is great. He actually met the eldest daughter of the Tang family. Take care of us in the future. After Tang Chuchu left, a group of colleagues at the station came to get close to Ning Fan. After experiencing this, Ning Fan's position here will be firmly glued like glue. Even the district manager has to act according to Ning Fan's mood. If they curry favor with Ning Fan, they will be very comfortable in the future. But Ning Fan just glanced at them indifferently and didn't pay much attention. When he encountered Duan Zishiang's trouble, he clearly remembered that these people were watching the fun from the side, not caring about the trouble. Only the big brother Fang Yuanquan spoke for him and planned to use money to help him get rid of the disaster. Ning Fan bought 2 bottles of iced black tea on the automatic shelf and walked towards Fang Yuanquan, who was unloading the goods. Brother Quan, drink some water. Fang Yuanquan wiped the sweat with a towel and said, why buy this? It's a waste of money. You have a sister at home who needs money. Take it back and give it to the little girl. Brother Quan, it's okay, you take it, you can still pay for the water. Ning Fan forced the iced black tea into Fang Yuanquan's hand. The two found a cool place to sit down, opened the lid, and after taking 2 sips, Ning Fan said, Brother Quan, thank you just now. Fang Yuanquan said, "It's okay, what's there to thank? But I was so worried just now. If you lose your job because of this, what will you and your sister do? But when did you meet Miss Tang? To people of our level, people like Miss Tang are like the sun in the sky, which is out of reach." Chapter 13 Proof. If you can meet such a person, as long as there is no big problem in the future, your road will be wide. We just met today. Ning Fan scratched his head. Okay, you kid, you are so hidden, just met, you can let others come to help you. Fang Yuanquan was stunned at first, then smiled and patted Ning Fan on the shoulder. After the two chatted for a while, a small truck drove in from outside and unloaded a brand new electric scooter from it. As soon as I picked up the phone, it rang. It was Tang Chuchu who called. "Did you receive the electric scooter I asked someone to send over?" "Yes." Ning Fan nodded. "It's quite new, thank you." "What's there to thank me for? I was going to compensate you." Tang Chuchu said. "Remember to come over at noon." "Okay." Ning Fan nodded. After hanging up the phone, he began to load the goods on the electric scooter and prepared to deliver the goods. At 11:30 in the afternoon, Ning Fan finished delivering the goods ahead of time and returned to the station. He was ready to pack up and ride to the Tang family. Yang Qiqi suddenly called. "Ning Fan, where are you? If you are not dead, come here quickly and complete the divorce procedures." Ning Fan couldn't help but shake her hand. Anger filled the air all of a sudden. Because he remembered the scene in the school parking lot yesterday. Huh! Ning Fan took a deep breath. When he saw that scene yesterday, he knew that his marriage with Yang Qiqi was coming to an end. But he didn't expect it to come so soon. But since we arrived early, that's just right. Draw a clear line with them as soon as possible and never have anything to do with each other again. In order to save time, Ning Fan took a taxi to the Yang family. As soon as he arrived at the gate of the Yang family, Yang Qiqi came out and threw 2 divorce agreements that she had signed at Ning Fan's feet. "Since what happened yesterday has already happened, there is no need to maintain our marriage. Don't delay my future happiness. Hurry up and sign it, kid. I didn't beat you to death yesterday. You are really tough." Chen Wei stood beside Yang Qiqi and sneered. Ning Fan looked at the two people with cold eyes. "Yang Qiqi, I have been working part-time to support your schooling since high school. It has been 7 years. For 7 years, let alone a person, even if you raise a dog, you should have feelings, right?" For some reason, Ning Fan felt that he was ready on the way here, thinking that if he divorced, he would divorce, and there would be no more waves in his heart. But now, Ning Fan couldn't help but grit his teeth and said, "And you actually betrayed our marriage by being with other men for so many years behind my back. How did you become so shameless? How did you manage to have a clear conscience?" Yang Qiqi's face turned cold. "I called you just to ask you to sign the divorce agreement, not to ask you to question me. You are poor courier, what qualifications do you have to be with me? I feel ashamed to be with someone like you. I felt this way since high school, when others knew about our relationship. At that time, I was thinking about how to draw a clear line with you." Yang Qiqi continued, "So, strictly speaking, I have never regarded you as my man. Everything is just your wishful thinking. You are just a dog of me, Yang Qiqi, not my man. So, being with Chen Xiao is not a betrayal at all. I am just doing what I like to do." After a slight pause, Yang Qiqi said to Ning Fan, "I know you just want to blame our Yang family, so you want to delay signing. If you don't sign, forget it. Then I will always put a green hat on your head. I just want to see if you can afford to lose this face. You." Ning Fan trembled. There was a raging rage in his chest. "Don't talk nonsense, sign or not," Yang Qiqi said arrogantly. "Par." Chen Wei threw a card with one line at Ning Fan's feet and said calmly, "Boy, there is 10,000 yuan in it, which is equivalent to your salary for 1.5 months of courier work, right? The password is the last 6 digits of the card number. As long as you sign, the money in it will be yours. If you don't sign, don't blame me for being rude to you. I heard from Qiqi that you have a sick sister." Originally, Ning Fan's heart had slowly calmed down, but at this moment, because of Chen Wei's words, his whole face became ferocious. The eyes could not help but spread fierceness and murderous intent. Although he had been betrayed from yesterday to now, and his heart was burning with anger, Ning Fan had not thought of other extreme means to solve it, but now he suddenly thought of it in his mind. Because Chen Wei's words now touched his bottom line. You. Being stared at by Ning Fan's fierce eyes, Chen Wei felt cold all over and trembled a little. Why, you useless guy, you still want to attack me? Didn't you get beaten enough yesterday? Chen Wei couldn't help but scold. It was really Ning Fan who looked at him too scary now. Looking at him with this look, he always felt that Ning Fan would suddenly step forward and stab him. In fact, Ning Fan really wanted to stab Chen Wei now. After his mother disappeared, his sister Qin Qiu was his bottom line. It was a reverse scale on his body. Whoever dared to bully his sister, he would kill him. However, Ning Fan did not act rashly. Instead, he stared at Yang Qiqi and said, "You will regret it in the future." Puff. Yang Qiqi laughed and sneered, "Were you beaten silly by Chen Xiao's men yesterday? You still regret it? Grow your brains. You are the one who should regret it. Without the protection of my Yang family, you will always be a poor and useless person in Jiangcheng." After a slight pause, Yang Qiqi continued, "Don't brag in front of me. It's been 7 years. If you were a little more awesome, you wouldn't be like this all the time. Now, I'm no longer someone you can control or match. Sign quickly, don't waste time." Har har. Ning Fan sneered twice. "I don't want to say anything more. Time will prove everything." If he hadn't obtained the inheritance left by his father, he might not have been able to make Yang Qiqi regret it. But now. However, Ning Fan didn't say anything more. Instead, he picked up the divorce agreement from the ground and signed his name on it. Seeing this scene, Yang Qiqi showed a satisfied smile on her face. But the next second, her expression froze. Because after Ning Fan signed, he cut his thumb and wrote a big word, "divorce," on the divorce agreement. Then Ning Fan threw the divorce agreement in Yang Qiqi's face and said coldly, "Don't think that I, Ning Fan, care about the Yang family, and don't think that I, Ning Fan, can't live without you. Of course you have to sign, our marriage should end. It's just that it shouldn't be you who forced me to sign the divorce, but I, Ning Fan, drove you out of the Ning family. The bloody word, divorce, above is the proof. From now on, you, Yang Qiqi, have nothing to do with me anymore." Chapter 14. You did the right thing. Yang Qiqi was completely stunned. After a few seconds, she recovered and stared at Ning Fan and said, "How dare you, a poor loser like you, divorce me?" The current scene was something she had not expected. Her original intention was to humiliate Ning Fan while forcing him to sign the divorce papers. After all, the old man was angry yesterday because Ning Fan called them ungrateful people. He also said that they ruined the Yang family's opportunity. She just wanted to let the old man see what a loser Ning Fan was. Just this, is this still an opportunity for the Yang family? But she never expected that this loser Ning Fan would suddenly reverse the situation and turn this process into him divorcing her. And expel her from the Ning family. With her current identity, appearance, status, and the prosperous Yang family background, it would be too embarrassing for her if this were to get out. Why did Ning Fan treat her like this? Yang Qiqi is shaking with anger now. "I can hardly speak clearly. I always feel like there is breath in my chest and I can't get it out. This feeling is particularly uncomfortable." Chen Wei's face was not looking good now. If it were to be spread out, it would mean that he, Chen Wei, had married a woman who was divorced by a loser and no longer wanted. This would make him lose face. It was also a severe blow to the Chen family's reputation. His father must have beaten him to death. "I want such a slut." While the two were in a daze, Ning Fan looked up at the balcony on the second floor of the Yang family villa. At some point, the old man appeared here in a wheelchair. Ning Fan bent his legs and knelt down in the direction of the old man, and kowtowed heavily. In the Yang family, only the old man treated him best. Also the most supportive. Before Yang Qiqi's affair was exposed yesterday, he had actually heard a lot of voices from the Yang family in secret. Basically, they all looked down on him and wanted to drive him away and let Yang Qiqi find another man. However, only the old man did not listen to any words and always supported him firmly. Therefore, in his heart, he always regarded the old man as his grandfather. Although he succeeded in venting his anger by turning the forced divorce into divorcing Yang Qiqi in today's incident, the Yang family's reputation will definitely be damaged if the news gets out. As the old man who has always supported him, he will definitely be ridiculed by everyone in the Yang family in the future. Yang Yuanzhong looked at Ning Fan and understood why Ning Fan knelt down and kowtowed to him. Sitting in a wheelchair, he said to Ning Fan, Fan, you did the right thing today. Grandpa doesn't blame you. Grandpa believes that you will not be a useless person looked down upon by them for the rest of your life. In the future, you will definitely make those who look down on you regret it. Grandpa, Ning Fan knows that after today's incident, many people in the Yang family will definitely ridicule you and treat you in a sarcastic way. Give me half a year. When I stand at the highest point in Jiangcheng, I will wash away these grievances for you. Ning Fan looked up at Yarn Yuanzhong on the second floor balcony and said, Good. Yarn Yuanzhong nodded. Ning Fan then stood up and prepared to leave. But before leaving, Yang Qiqi suddenly said in a cold voice, Ning Fan, have you seen this BMW 5 Series? Chen Xiao just mentioned it this morning, and you have worked hard all your life, but you can only ride an electric bike. You won't even have the chance to ride in a car like this. A loser like you, after you leave me, no woman will be interested in you, just be prepared to be single until you die. So don't dream about the future. I will never regret what I did today. Ning Fan glanced at her coldly, not wanting to say anything more to her. It has been more than 10 minutes since the time I agreed to meet Tang Chuchu at noon. He needs to go to Tang's house quickly. Boom! Just when Ning Fan was about to stop a taxi on the roadside, the roar of a car engine suddenly came from the distance. A pink Porsche 911 caught everyone's attention. Soon, the car stopped in front of Ning Fan under Yang Qiqi's envious gaze. Chapter 15 He is the one who regrets. Ning Fan, why have you been staying here for so long? Grandpa saw that you hadn't arrived yet, so he asked me to come find you. The car door opened and a pleasant voice came from inside the car. Then a girl with a fairy-like face, long hair, extremely delicate cheeks without any flaws, and an extremely perfect figure walked out of the car wearing high heels. A pair of slender beautiful legs wrapped in black stockings and paired with a short skirt makes countless people tremble. This is so beautiful. In front of this girl, Yang Qiqi's beauty was like a firefly meeting the bright moon. Not worth mentioning. Under the stunned gazes of Yang Qiqi, Chen Wei, and the rest of the Yang family, Tang Chuchu took Ning Fan's hand and said, Let's go, get in the car, my grandfather is still waiting for you to have dinner at home. Good. Ning Fan didn't act pretentiously and got into Tang Chuchu's car under the gaze of everyone. Boom! Tang Chuchu stepped on the accelerator, and the Porsche 911 made a loud roar, carrying the two of them and disappeared from the sight of everyone in the Yang family. Yang Qiqi stood there in a daze. When did this loser Ning Fan get to know such a beautiful girl behind my back? In front of this girl, she was like a clown and didn't even have the courage to look up and look at her. How could this loser know a beauty of this level? Chen Wei's face was gloomy. In front of such a girl, neither Yang Qiqi's appearance nor the BMW 5 Series he bought was worth mentioning. Completely defeated. And until now, he still can't forget Tang Chuchu's fairy-like face. Shit beauty. She's clearly a bitch. Yang Qiqi immediately took out her anger on Chen Wei. Chen Wei smiled and said, Indeed, compared to you, I think I am still far behind. I was just wondering, how did Ning Fan, a scumbag who delivers a courier, get to know a bitch who drives a Porsche 911? Bullshit acquaintance. Yang Qiqi gritted her teeth. He knew I was going to file for a divorce, and he was not convinced. He wanted to stick with me, so he hired a bitch and rented a car to drive over to me. He wanted me to regret it and beg him to stay in this marriage. I said before that Ning Fan is not worthy of him. He had just said that Ning Fan was not qualified to ride in a BMW, but then a fairy-like girl drove up to him in a Porsche. He also held Ning Fan's hand and led him into the car. It directly turned Yang Qiqi into a clown. She is now feeling very angry. A loser wants to make me regret. Dream on. I, Yang Qiqi, will never regret divorcing Ning Fan in my life. Yang Qiqi was so angry that she gritted her teeth and said in the direction Ning Fan left. No need to be angry with a loser. Chen Wei said, hugging Yang Qiqi's slender waist. In the future, he will be the one who regrets it. He and you are no longer from the same world. Now that you are with me, your status and position in Jiangcheng will become higher and higher, and you will become a dazzling pearl. At that time, this waist will still be a toad at the bottom, and can only look up to you. And he began to regret why he didn't hold onto you. If he had held onto you, would he have been able to benefit from it? Yang Qiqi was originally very angry, but after hearing these words, an extremely proud look suddenly appeared on her face. After a slight pause, Chen Wei continued, there will be a gathering of wealthy clubs in Jiangcheng tonight. I heard it was organized by the eldest daughter of the Tang family in Jiangcheng. You should put on some delicate makeup in the afternoon. I took great pains to get 2 places. I will take you to see the world. Chapter 16 Views. Oh my god, Wei Ji, you are so amazing. The Chen family hasn't gotten the new project released by the Jiang family branch. If you join the ranks of the Jiangcheng Wealthy Club, you will be eligible to enter the Wealthy Club gathering. Yang Qiqi became even happier. She hugged Chen Wei's arm and kissed him on the face. It's not that I'm good, I was able to get the qualification thanks to my friends. Chen Wei said with a smile. If we can meet Miss Tang at this party tonight, and cooperate with her to win the new project of Jiang's branch in 7 days, our Chen family will surely be able to move to a higher level. You're awesome, Wei Ji, to have such a strong friendship. Yang Qiqi kissed him again. Chen Wei was so happy to be praised by a woman that his face was about to break from smiling. He looked proudly at Yarn Yuanzhong on the second-floor balcony, wanting to let him see how he compared to Ning Fan, his favorite grandson-in-law. As soon as he looked over, he was stunned. Because Yarn Yuanzhong just sat in his wheelchair and went back to their house. Didn't even look at him. Old thing. How dare you look down on me? Chen Wei's face darkened, and he sneered, wait until my Chen family enters the wealthy club, and I'll wait for you to bow your head and beg me. At the Tang family's front gate. Tang Wuqiang is standing here waiting for Ning Fan. People passing by the Tang family saw this scene and talked about it in low voices. Isn't that Mr. Tang? Why is he standing at the door in such a hot sun? He looks like he's waiting for someone. Who could possibly make Mr. Tang wait here? The Tang family is one of the 5 major families in Jiangcheng. Could it be that some big shot has come to Jiangcheng? Tang Wuqiang raised his wrist to check the time, feeling a little anxious. Dad, is Ning Fan so grand that he wants you to stand here and wait in the middle of the day? A middle-aged man next to him frowned. He is Tang Chuchu's father and already knows what happened today. If it weren't for Ning Fan, you wouldn't be able to see your father now. Tang Wuqiang said coldly. Is it not okay for me to invite someone to come to my house and wait here? Tang Wuqiang said after a slight pause, he was able to easily see my condition and save me in a few strokes. Such a person must be treated well. Dad, I think you overestimate him. Tang Sihai still frowned. I checked this Ning Fan. He is now an orphan. He lives in a small family in Jiangcheng, is a son-in-law of the Yarn family, and has a sickly sister. How powerful do you think this kind of person is? If he was really that powerful, his sister wouldn't be so sick. Do I still need to be someone's son-in-law? Have you investigated him? Tang Wuqiang asked coldly. Tang Sihai said in a deep voice, Dad, you know the current situation of our Tang family. We have to be careful. If we are not careful and someone takes advantage of us, it will have a serious impact on us, and it will be too late to make amends then. Snort. Tang Wuqiang snorted coldly, I'm not dead yet, do I need to be so careful? Ning Fan saved my life, so I am the benefactor of the Tang family. If you don't thank me properly and investigate privately, I think you deserve a beating. This matter ends here. If you investigate Ning Fan again on your own, don't blame me for being rude to you. I understand, Dad. Tang Sihai nodded. Although he agreed to the old man, he still didn't take Ning Fan seriously in his heart. After the old man came back in the morning and told Chuchu what happened, he felt that Ning Fan was too fake. Just tap the old man's body with a few fingers and it will heal him? It's a trick. In his opinion, Ning Fan was just a liar with good luck. Chapter 17 Why were you so fierce towards him? After waiting for another 20 minutes, Ning Fan still hadn't arrived. Dad, I think this Ning Fan is clearly a liar. Tang Sihai frowned and couldn't help but say. If he really had the ability, he would have come a long time ago. Why hasn't he been here for so long? I think he's just afraid of being exposed if he has dinner with you and faces you up close. Don't wait, Dad. Let's go in and eat. After that, I'll take you to the hospital for a full body checkup. You have been in good health your whole life, how could you have a hidden disease? This is sheer nonsense. Even if it is as he said, that the disease on the right side of your chest caused the blood vessels to be squeezed, I think it is clearly a minor illness caused by a cold. At your age, this kind of minor illness is normal. Don't be fooled. After waiting for nearly 50 minutes, Tang Sihai, who was already skeptical about Ning Fan, became even more unhappy. Ever since he was born, he had always remembered that the old man was fine, strong and healthy, and nothing had happened to him. Sihai, you are already in your 40s, why aren't you calm at all? Tang Wuqian said dissatisfiedly. The hidden disease on the right side of my chest was caused when I was young, before I met your mother. It was cured, and since I was young, it was indeed as if nothing had happened. But now that I am old, my body can no longer bear it. This matter has always existed, but I didn't tell you because I was afraid your mother would worry. Tang Sihai's heart exploded. Stunned. He quickly took out his cell phone to look for the number, and said, Dad, if this is true, I can't let a young boy just click on you a few times and call it a day. I'll call Dr. Zhao right now. Have him come to your house and give you a full body checkup. No need to trouble Dr. Zhao, the old man is feeling well now. Tang Wuqian said in a deep voice. But it was useless, Tang Sihai had already made the call. Boom! Tang Sihai had just finished the call when the roar of an engine came from a distance. A pink Porsche 911 appeared in the sight of the father and son. After the car stopped, Tang Qiqi took Ning Fan out of the car. When he saw Ning Fan, a smile immediately appeared on Tang Wuqian's face. My friend, you are finally here. Come on, please come in. Ning Fan scratched his head a little embarrassedly and said, Sorry, old man, I kept you waiting for so long. Snort. Tang Sihai snorted coldly, You are a junior who came to my Tang family and made my dad, who is so old, wait for you under the scorching sun, and he waited for so long. How uneducated. No sense of time at all. Dad, what did you say? Tang Qiqi was unhappy. I drove to pick up Ning Fan, and the car broke down on their way back. I called the 4S shop to come for emergency rescue and repair the car, which delayed us. What does this have to do with Ning Fan? Why did you yell at him? You? Tang Sihai's face suddenly darkened. I didn't expect that my precious daughter would also have her elbows turned outward. I just met Ning Fan today. Not only did he help to speak up, but he also drove to pick her up personally. If they wait any longer, Ning Fan might just run away with his precious daughter. Sihai, apologize to my friend. Tang Wuqian said coldly. Tang Sihai already had a grudge against Ning Fan, and he was even more dissatisfied with his daughter's arm being bent outward. As a result, now the old man asked him to apologize to Ning Fan. Dad, you asked me to apologize to this brat, are you kidding me? Tang Sihai felt unwell. I got angry all of a sudden. Apologize. Tang Wuqian said in a deep voice. No. Tang Sihai said firmly. I'll apologize to such a liar. I won't apologize to him even if you break my legs. You? Tang Wuqian saw that his son was disobedient and was afraid that this would make Ning Fan unhappy. He became very anxious and suddenly couldn't breathe and was unable to speak. Then his face suddenly turned purple. His body even staggered. Dad. Tang Sihai's face changed drastically and he quickly supported him. Tang Qiqi's pretty face panicked, Grandpa. Puff. Tang Wuqian spat out a large mouthful of black blood. Then he fainted. Looking at the pool of black blood on the ground, Ning Fan frowned. He didn't expect Tang Wuqian's hidden illness to be so serious. When I treated him in the morning, although he was not completely cured, his condition was only relieved. But he felt that Tang Wuqian could hold on until he went to the hospital, or if he had a chance to meet him again and he happened to have another set of silver needles in his hand, he could use the 99 returning to life needle once to completely eradicate his hidden disease. I didn't expect it to relapse now. Dad, hold on, Dr. Zhao will be here soon. Tang Sihai said anxiously as he carried Tang Wuqian into the bedroom. After seeing Tang Wuqian put on the bed, Ning Fan walked over. Mr. Tang is now very weak, and he can't just stand by and watch him die. But before he could walk over, Tang Sihai blocked his way and said coldly, Stay away from my dad, you liar. My dad thought you cured him, but this is what happened. If anything happens to my dad today, you will be held responsible. Dad, are you being reasonable? It's obviously you who made Grandpa angry. What does it have to do with Ning Fan? Although Tang Qiqi was very anxious now, she was also very angry because of Tang Sihai's unreasonable words. If you don't let me save him, the old man can only hold on for 10 minutes at most. Ning Fan said. Just as he finished speaking, there was a burst of hurried footsteps outside, and a grey-haired old man walked in quickly. Divine Dr. Zhao. Tang Sihai heaved a sigh of relief, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. Show it to my dad. I just vomited a large mouthful of black blood. Good. Dr. Zhao frowned and walked towards the window. Get out of the way. Tang Sihai pushed Ning Fan aside. Dr. Zhao, please help me with my father. Don't worry, Mr. Tang. I will do my best. Dr. Zhao said. Then he started to take Tang Guiqiang's pulse. After a few seconds, Dr. Zhao finished taking the patient's pulse. Tang Sihai asked anxiously, Dr. Zhao, how is my dad? Before I came, had your father been examined and treated by someone? Asked Dr. Zhao. Tang Sihai groaned, glanced at Ning Fan, and replied, yes. The old man has had a hidden disease for decades. As time goes by, the hidden disease gets worse. This kind of long-term accumulated disease cannot be treated by overwork or extreme measures. Most importantly, it cannot be treated forcefully. It cannot be cured in one go. It needs to be treated slowly to replenish the body energy consumed by the hidden disease. Dr. Zhao said, but the man who treated your father forced the old man to receive treatment. This treatment method is simple, and I know how to do it. It activates the last bit of vitality hidden in the old man's body and activates the rest of the vitality in his body. Although this may have a temporary effect, it is overdrawing the old man's life. Chapter 18 Good. Because the vitality that is activated is limited after all, and it will be consumed. When the body is almost fully consumed, it will no longer be able to activate the vitality of other parts of the body, and the hidden disease will naturally recur. After saying these words, Dr. Zhao sighed. This is a temporary solution, not a permanent one. Asshole. Tang Sihai stared at Ning Fan with angry eyes. If anything happens to my dad, I will never let you go. Dad, why are you so angry at Ning Fan again? What's his business? If it weren't for him, you wouldn't be able to see Grandpa now. Tang Qiqi stood in front of Ning Fan, she was very unhappy. Tang Sihai glanced at Ning Fan fiercely, then calmed down and asked Divine Dr. Zhao, Divine Dr. Zhao, please think of a solution. The old man must not be in any danger. Grandpa Zhao, please save my grandpa. Although Tang Qiqi protected Ning Fan, Tang Guiqiang's life was at stake now, so she could only seek help from Dr. Zhao first. Mr. Tang, Qiqi, you don't have to worry. Although the old man's condition is bad now, it is not the worst outcome. Dr. Zhao said. I'll give him a few injections to slow down the vitality being consumed in his body and activate the vitality in other parts of his body. Then he won't have any serious problems. He just needs to rest and take some more precious herbs to replenish his energy and blood. Then please ask Dr. Zhao to take action quickly. Tang Sihai said hurriedly. The old man is old and can't wait. Yes. Dr. Zhao nodded. Then he took out a pack of silver needles from his medicine box and inserted the needles into several parts of Tang Guiqiang's body. Although he only received the inheritance yesterday, he has already mastered the medical science. Just one glance and I could see the problem. If the remaining few needles were given, Tang Guiqiang would die. Ning Fan had a strong impression of this old man and couldn't bear to see him die. Therefore, Ning Fan stepped forward, grabbed Dr. Zhao's hand as he was about to continue inserting the needle, and warned him, if the next few needles are inserted, the old man will die. Ning Fan's sudden step forward startled several people in the room. Because they didn't react to how Ning Fan suddenly appeared in front of Dr. Zhao. Now hearing Ning Fan's words, he was even more stunned. But then Tang Sihai's face suddenly changed, and he said angrily, You liar, you have harmed my father like this, and now you are blocking Zhao the divine doctor from treating him, and you are cursing my father, are you looking for death? Tang Qiqi didn't say anything at this moment. It was obvious that Ning Fan's behavior and words made her a little unhappy. Snort. Dr. Zhao snorted coldly, showing dissatisfaction and said, What do you mean? Are you questioning my medical ability? Since you are so powerful, do you want me to let you treat this old man? He has been engaged in the medical field for 60 years, and has been immersed in and studying it. This set of acupuncture techniques was discovered by chance when he went into the mountains to collect herbs. It is called the Suoyang acupuncture method. Relying on this set of acupuncture techniques, he became the top doctor in Jiangcheng. As a result, He also had a place in Jiangbei province. As a result, a young boy now actually questioned his acupuncture skills. How could this make him happy? Dr. Zhao is a famous doctor in Jiangcheng. He has saved countless lives. His methods are not something you, a liar, can understand. Tang Sihai scolded. Get out of my way. Tang Sihai is now becoming more and more displeased with Ning Fan, and thinks that this man is really uneducated. Ning Fan, why don't you move aside for a moment? Tang Qiqi took a deep breath at this time. Although she had some feelings towards Ning Fan, what was at stake now was her grandfather's life. She didn't dare to gamble. Okay. Ning Fan nodded. Then he looked at Tang Sihai and said, You told me to get out, so I'll get out. I hope you won't come after me and beg me in 3 minutes. After saying that, Ning Fan walked out. Without Ning Fan's obstruction, Dr. Zhao performed the next few injections smoothly. When the last needle was injected, Tang Wuqiang's complexion began to return to normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then he slowly opened his eyes. Grandfather. Tang Qiqi immediately shouted excitedly. Dad, are you okay? How do you feel now? Dr. Zhao just finished treating you. Tang Sihai also breathed a sigh of relief. Then he thanked Dr. Zhao. Dr. Zhao, thank you for saving my life. Our Tang family will remember this favor. If we need your help in the future, we will definitely do our best to help you. You're too polite, Mr. Tang. Dr. Zhao said with a smile. Curing illnesses and saving lives is the essence of being a doctor for us. Ahem. Just when everyone breathed a sigh of relief, Tang Wuqiang, who had just opened his eyes, suddenly widened his eyes, stretched his hands and feet straight, and his body shook violently on the bed. His face changed again, this time turning completely black. At the same time, blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. He looks extremely painful. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Tang Qiqi burst into tears out of fear. Grandpa Zhao, what happened to my grandpa? Come and have a look. Dr. Zhao, what's wrong with my dad? Tang Sihai's face changed drastically. How could this happen? Dr. Zhao was stunned when he saw this scene. The Suoyang formation has never made any mistakes, how could this happen? What's going on, Dr. Zhao? Tang Sihai's face looked extremely ugly now. Because the old man's breathing is gradually weakening. Dr. Zhao is very panicked now, because although Tang Sihai has been very polite to him since he arrived, if anything happens to Tang Wuqiang, Tang Sihai will not let him go. For a moment, for example, Tang Qiqi and Tang Sihai were anxious, and he was even more anxious now. Dad, please call 120 emergency number and send Grandpa to the ICU for rescue. This can't go on. Tang Qiqi cried. No. Tang Sihai gritted his teeth. Your grandfather is in extremely poor health right now and can't even make it to the hospital. After Tang Sihai finished speaking, he stared at Dr. Zhao and said, Dr. Zhao, my father became like this in your hands. If anything happens to the old man, don't blame me for being ruthless. Although Dr. Zhao has a good status in Jiangcheng due to his medical skills, he is still a little inferior when facing a behemoth like the Tang family. If the Tang family attacks him, he will have no way to deal with it. Suddenly, Dr. Zhao was so scared that he thought of Ning Fan. He said excitedly, Mr. Zhao, Qiqi, please invite that little brother in. He was able to predict that there would be problems with my last few needles, so he must have a solution. Tang Sihai's body trembled and his face looked a little ugly. Just now he looked down on Ning Fan and kicked him out of the room, but now he wants to go out and invite him. Although he felt very embarrassed, he had to put aside his pride for the old man. Then he gritted his teeth and chased after him. Tang Qiqi also followed behind. She was afraid that Ning Fan would not want to come back with her father. Chapter 19. Am I still a liar? At this time, Ning Fan had just walked to the gate of the Tang family. Before I could even step out of the door, I heard a shout from behind me. Turning around, I saw Tang Qiqi and her father Tang Sihai chasing after them. Ning Fan, please come back with me and save my grandfather. Tang Qiqi said breathlessly. Why should I go back? Ning Fan looked at Tang Sihai and said. He just kicked me out. Before I came out, I told you, don't come out and beg me in 3 minutes. It's exactly 3 minutes now. Tang Sihai's face turned red, very embarrassed. He really didn't expect this to happen. He took a deep breath and said to Ning Fan, Mr. Ning, please come back with me. The old man is critically ill and needs you. Ning Fan said coldly, are you willing to believe what I say now? Am I still a liar then? Tang Sihai's face turned even redder and felt even hotter. However, he did not answer, because he came out to pursue Ning Fan now, not because he believed that Ning Fan was not a liar, and felt that Ning Fan was indeed capable, but because he really had no other choice now. Seeing this, Ning Fan turned and left. He won't make himself unhappy again. Tang Sihai panicked immediately, and quickly grabbed Ning Fan and said, Mr. Ning, please don't argue with me. I was wrong about what happened today. The old man is in very bad health right now and really needs you. Please. Ning Fan then stopped. Tang Chuchu also spoke again at this time, Ning Fan, my dad has always been like this, don't bother with him, wait until Grandpa wakes up, I will let Grandpa teach him a lesson. I will never allow you to suffer the injustice you suffered for my father today in vain. Now that Tang Chuchu said so, Ning Fan didn't push any further. After all, the old man's current condition is indeed very dangerous. Even the slightest delay could lead to serious consequences. Then Ning Fan turned around and returned to the room. Little brother, you are back. I was short-sighted just now. I didn't expect your reminder to be so important. If I had thought carefully and believed in it at that time, Mr. Tang would not be in this state. Dr. Zhao breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Ning Fan. No matter whether Ning Fan can save the old man or not, as long as Ning Fan takes action, this matter has nothing to do with him. Be it a good result or a bad result. He has finally jumped out of this pit. Lend me your silver needle. Ning Fan didn't say much. The moment he took the silver needle, the method of using the 9-9 resurrection needle appeared in his mind. Then he started to insert needles into several parts of Tang Guqiang's body. The 9-9 returning to life needles, as the name suggests, involves dropping 9 silver needles in 9 directions, forming a formation on the human body that gathers the vitality of heaven and earth and integrates it into the body, thus allowing the person to return to life. Even if someone has set foot on the road to hell, he can be pulled back. However, performing this set of acupuncture techniques consumes a great deal of energy, as well as the body's spiritual energy. When the 8th silver needle fell, Ning Fan was already sweating profusely. His breathing became a little disordered. Tang Sihai, Tang Chuchu, and Dr. Zhao stared at Tang Guqiang. Because after 8 injections, there was still no sign of improvement. Just when Tang Sihai was about to get angry again, Ning Fan, with an extremely exhausted spirit, placed the 9th needle. Suddenly, Tang Guqiang, with his arms and legs stretched out, returned to normal. At the same time, his complexion gradually returned to normal. Breathing also resumed. Then he slowly opened his eyes. Grandpa is awake. Tang Chuchu said excitedly. Tang Sihai and Dr. Zhao were both shocked. Originally, they saw that Ning Fan had no reaction after 8 injections, so they didn't plan to check. Unexpectedly, after Ning Fan gave the old man another injection, he came back to life. What kind of needlework is this? Dr. Zhao was stunned. He stared at the 9 silver needles that Ning Fan had dropped on Tang Guqiang's body with a somewhat rapid breathing, wanting to observe the position of the needles. As a result, as soon as he looked carefully, he felt dizzy. How so? Dr. Zhao was very confused. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Unable to watch. Mr. Tang woke up completely, returned to normal, and his spirits were much better than before. Grandpa, how do you feel now? Tang Chuchu asked. I feel great, full of energy, like I'm a dozen years younger. After Tang Guqiang finished speaking, he looked at Divine Dr. Zhao and said, Thank you very much, Divine Dr. Zhao, for saving my life. Otherwise, my life would be over. Dr. Zhao said with an embarrassed look on his face, Master Tang, you are embarrassing me. It was this little brother who saved you. Tang Guqiang was stunned at first, but he quickly understood. He quickly sat up and wanted to thank Ning Fan. Friend Ning, this is the second time you have saved my life. This favor is something that my Tang family cannot repay. From now on, if my Tang family is of any use to you, I will definitely provide you with all my assistance. Ning Fan quickly supported Tang Guqiang and said, You are too polite, old man. My friend, today is really thanks to you. Dr. Zhao also said to Ning Fan. Otherwise, if anything happens to the old man, my reputation as the genius Dr. Zhao will be ruined. If I have offended you with my words before, please forgive me. Yeah. Ning Fan nodded and didn't care. Then he said, the acupuncture you just performed is called the Suoyang needle. In principle, it is fine. It can lock the old man's vitality. But without the injection of new vitality, the old man's locked vitality will conflict with each other in his body and riot, making his condition worse. Dr. Zhao was shocked, as no one had ever known his acupuncture method in the past few decades. I didn't expect that Ning Fan would recognize me at first sight today. And he also knows the core of the Suoyang formation. After a few seconds, he calmed down and was very grateful to Ning Fan. Because he just realized that Ning Fan was trying to save his face. The reason why Ning Fan could recognize it was because his father's inherited Chinese medicine Taoist technique included this acupuncture method. Although the name of this Suoyang acupuncture method sounds very impressive, it is actually only the lowest level of acupuncture in the medical art. Moreover, the Suoyang acupuncture method that Dr. Zhao mastered is actually incomplete. The real Suoyang acupuncture method has a total of 18 needles. But Dr. Zhao only mastered 15 needles. If he could master all of them, Mr. Tang wouldn't have relapsed. My friend, I wonder who your master is. Can you accept me as your disciple on behalf of the master? Dr. Zhao asked with a somewhat rapid breath. The person behind the scenes who could teach someone like Ning Fan must be extraordinary. Although he is over 70 years old, as a doctor, living and learning is a principle. Only by continuous progress can we continue to save countless lives. So, he wanted to become an apprentice. So, the next second, Dr. Zhao knelt down in front of Ning Fan with a plop. Chapter 20. I'll get it now. Dr. Zhao's sudden behavior made everyone in the room stunned. Especially Tang Sihai. Call. At this moment, Tang Sihai was breathing rapidly, and his face and heart were filled with shock. I originally wanted to give Ning Fan a try, but I didn't expect that Ning Fan was really capable. Moreover, several minutes have passed since the old man woke up and returned to normal, and no accidents have occurred. At the same time, Dr. Zhao, who had always been a little arrogant, actually knelt down in front of Ning Fan and wanted to worship him as his master. This shows that Ning Fan is capable. Not a liar. It was Tang Sihai who looked down on others today. But he kept silent, for he would be embarrassed. Tang Wuqiang was also stunned. The famous Dr. Zhao in Jiangcheng actually took the initiative to kneel down to a young man just to become his disciple through Ning Fan. However, Tang Wuqiang soon became excited. The more this is the case, the more it proves that Ning Fan is not simple. The Tang family is blessed to have known such a person. They have actually picked up such a great opportunity. This. Ning Fan himself was stunned. Where did his master come from? Everything he had now was the inheritance left to him by his father. But of course he wouldn't tell it like it is. So he said, my master once warned that my sect is not allowed to be passed on to outsiders. I am the master's last disciple. After teaching me a few years ago, the master traveled around the world on his own and would not accept any more disciples. Suddenly, a look of loss appeared on Dr. Zhao's face. But the next second, he said excitedly, Dr. Ning, your master will not accept any more disciples, can you accept me as your disciple? Dr. Zhao really wanted to establish a relationship with the master behind Ning Fan and learn better medical skills, so he couldn't help but change the way he addressed Ning Fan. As he spoke, Dr. Zhao kowtowed directly to Ning Fan. Ning Fan quickly helped him up and said, Dr. Zhao, you don't have to do this. My medical skills are not that great. I am not at that level to accept you as my apprentice. Suddenly, the disappointed look on Dr. Zhao's face reappeared, and he said, compared with Dr. Ning, what kind of doctor am I? It was only a second or two before Dr. Zhao's face became excited again. Because Ning Fan said, although I am not yet at the level to accept disciples, if we have time, we can discuss medical skills with each other. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ning. Dr. Zhao was extremely happy. Although he did not succeed in becoming Ning Fan's disciple, it was still great to be able to meet and establish a relationship with a medical expert like Ning Fan. When everyone was completely relieved, Ning Fan suddenly reminded them, old man, although I just used acupuncture to save you and completely eradicated the hidden disease in your body, your hidden disease has been in your body for too long, causing your body to lose a lot of strength. If you want to avoid other emergencies in the future, you still need to recuperate. General conditioning methods or supplements are not enough to replenish your body's essence. If we can't complete the recuperation and supplementation within 2 months, the disease will recur and may be more serious. At that time, it may be impossible to recover. Suddenly, the temperature in the room stagnated. Tang Qiqi looked anxious and asked, Ning Fan, do you have any good recuperation methods? Since you can treat illnesses, you must be able to prescribe a prescription for recuperation. Please help my grandfather. As long as it can make my grandfather completely healthy, you can let me pay any price. The truth is that at the old man's age, although general recuperation methods may work, it is impossible to completely recover within half a year. The old man fell once before, and it took him more than a year to recover. In the current situation, how is it possible to recover in 2 months without special means? Ning Fan hesitated. His father's inherited medical skills and the Supreme Medical Sutra contained Chinese medicine prescriptions for nourishing the body. But he didn't know whether Tang Guiqiang's body could withstand the cleansing and impact of the medicine. After a few seconds, Ning Fan said to Tang Qiqi, you don't have to be like this. If I can help, I will definitely help. Do you have any Japanese paper? Yes, I'll get it right away. Tang Qiqi said quickly. After getting the pen and paper, Ning Fan wrote down a prescription according to the records in the Supreme Medical Classics. In order to prevent the old man's body from being unable to withstand the medicinal effects of the prescription, Ning Fan reduced the dosage of each medicine. At the same time, the more overbearing medicinal ingredient was removed. How about you arrange someone to get these herbs? Ning Fan handed the prescription to Tang Qiqi. Dr. Ning, let me do this. Although my medical skills are not very good, I have no problem controlling the age and quality of the medicinal materials. Dr. Zhao said at this time. Ning Fan glanced at Dr. Zhao. He knew that the reason why this old man was willing to suddenly become an errand boy was that he actually wanted to study his prescription for healthcare. Anyway, he had omitted one ingredient from the prescription and did not follow the correct dosage, and he was not afraid of being secretly learned, so he gave the prescription to Dr. Zhao and asked him to get it. Mr. Ning, thank you so much. Tang Guiqiang thanked Ning Fan again. Ning Fan shook his head. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became awkward. Because Ning Fan's stomach growled. Tang Guiqiang was stunned at first, then he immediately reacted and said, Mr. Ning, I'm so sorry for delaying your meal because of my health. We will be seated now. Qiqi, notify your mother to check if the food is cold. If it is, have someone make it again immediately. Okay. Tang Qiqi nodded. Tang Guiqiang took Ning Fan to the Tang family restaurant for their meal. The Tang family's restaurant is very luxurious, made entirely of emerald redwood, and it looks very impressive. This was the first time Ning Fan had sat down to eat in such a grand place in more than 20 years, so he seemed a little reserved. After Ning Fan completely cured Tang Guiqiang's stubborn illness, his energy and spirit recovered a lot, and he looked majestic without even being angry. People dare not look at it for too long, like Tang Sihai, who is sitting aside now, not daring to say a word. He was afraid that Tang Guiqiang would suddenly settle accounts with him. At this time, the Tang family's nanny began to bring up the delicacies. It's all steaming hot. Ning Fan had never seen these dishes before, not even in the Yang family. Mr. Ning, this is the red wine I asked someone to bring back from abroad. It has been stored for 80 years and tastes very good. Please try it. Tang Guiqiang poured Ning Fan a glass of red wine. Although he hadn't drunk it yet, the smell it gave off surprised Ning Fan. This wine is so fragrant. Ning Fan took the wine glass, thanked him, and took a sip. Very nice. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Tang Guiqiang suddenly put down his chopsticks. The originally pleasant atmosphere at the table suddenly froze. Chapter 21. I say yes. Dad, what's wrong? Tang's mother asked puzzledly. Seeing that the old man didn't say anything, Tang's mother looked at Tang Sihai, who was lowering his head, and asked, Sihai, have you made Dad unhappy again? How can I do that? Tang Sihai said stiffly. It seemed as if he had forgotten his previous attitude towards Ning Fan at all. Har har, Dad, come on. Tang Qiqi sneered. If you hadn't pissed me off, I wouldn't have done this. You? Tang Sihai was very angry. What kind of daughter is this? I've only known Ning Fan for 1 day, and his arms are always pointed outwards. Apologize to Mr. Ning. Tang Guiqiang spoke. Tang Sihai was extremely reluctant to apologize to a junior like Ning Fan in front of so many people. This is so embarrassing. However, he could not bear Tang Guiqiang's current majesty, so he could only bite the bullet, pour wine into the glass, and apologize to Ning Fan. Ning Fan saw this and shook his head. Old man, there's no need to do this. After all, he is Tang Chuchu's father. It's not good to make things too awkward. No. Tang Guiqiang said firmly. You are my savior, not everyone can offend you. Just asking him to apologize to you is already a bargain for him. Ning Fan, let my dad apologize to you, then this matter can be put to rest. Tang Chuchu said to Ning Fan. Otherwise, Grandpa won't let him go. Ning Fan couldn't help but let out a bitter smile and said, there's really no need to be like this. I don't care about anything. If you insist on doing this, old man, I'm afraid I won't be able to finish this meal. HMPH. Tang Guiqiang snorted coldly at Tang Sihai. Fortunately, Mr. Ning is not someone like you, otherwise I would have broken your legs today. Then Tang Guiqiang turned around and said to Ning Fan, Mr. Ning, you saved me twice. I really have no way to repay you. No matter now or in the future, if my Tang family is of any use to you, I will definitely help you. Tang Guiqiang waved his hand and the butler waiting in the restaurant quickly brought over a bank card. Mr. Ning, this is a little gift from me, an old man. You can't refuse it. Tang Guiqiang handed the card to Ning Fan personally. Okay. Ning Fan didn't refuse. I really need money right now, whether it's for household expenses, my sister's tuition, living expenses, etc., it costs a lot. I can actually live on the 100,000 yuan given by the female president who treated me yesterday and my own monthly salary. But life is not going well. Due to my sister's health condition, I need to prepare some nutritious and delicious food for her every day. After finishing the meal, Tang Guiqiang said again, by the way, Mr. Ning, you are such a good doctor, it is a waste of your talent to work as a courier at Tang's Express under our Tang Group. If you are willing, I can build a hospital specifically for you in Jiangcheng and let you lead it. What do you think? No. Ning Fan said quickly. It's nice to be a courier. It's free. So that's how it is. Tang Guiqiang nodded. Don't dwell too much on this issue. It's not that he was reluctant to spend the money on building the hospital, but he thought that people like Ning Fan might be hiding in the ordinary sea of this society just because they yearn for freedom and to do whatever they want. If I force myself to continue, it would not be good if it makes him unhappy. At this time, Dr. Zhao, who had gone out to get medicine, came back. Tang's mother stood up, took the herbs, and went to boil the medicine for Tang Guiqiang. After about half an hour, the medicine was ready. Tang's mother brought it to him and Tang Guiqiang drank it all in one gulp. Although Ning Fan used the 9-9 returning yarn needle to eliminate the hidden disease in his body, which restored a lot of his spirit, such a long time had passed that he felt a little tired again. At this moment, as he swallowed the bowl of medicine, Tang Guiqiang felt a warm current flowing through his body. He felt like he was bathing in a hot spring. He felt indescribable comfort and all his fatigue was swept away. And my energy and spirit have recovered a lot. He felt that the spirit and energy he had when he was young was similar to what it is now. Tang Guiqiang stared at Ning Fan, amazed. He is indeed a miracle doctor. A great man living in seclusion in the city. It is not a loss for the entire Tang family to make friends with such a person. Old man, it's getting late. I only have a 2-hour break at noon. I have to go back to work. Ning Fan stood up and said. Okay. Tang Guiqiang did not force him to stay. He knew that someone like Ning Fan definitely didn't like being bound by others. Do whatever you want to do. From now on, the Tang family will become Ning Fan's backing. Chu, send Mr. Ning back. Tang Guiqiang looked at Tang Chu. Tang Chu stood up and said, okay. Tang Sihai didn't say a word the whole time. He could sense that his biological father was attracted to Ning Fan and wanted him to be the son-in-law of the Tang family. Before he met Ning Fan, he had never asked Chu to pick up or drop off any person of the opposite sex. Even when some young masters from the provincial capital wanted to invite Chu, they were directly rejected by the old man. Mother Tang didn't say anything, she also seemed to have taken a liking to Ning Fan. After Ning Fan and Tang Chu left, Divine Dr. Zhao said with some envy, Tang Lao, Divine Dr. Ning should not be an ordinary person. It is a great thing that Chu can get close to such a person. If my granddaughter hadn't come with me today, I would have wanted to bring her up with Dr. Ning so that they could get to know each other. Har, we can still get to know each other in the future, but there probably won't be a chance for the aspect you have in mind. Tang Wuqiang smiled. Just as Tang Sihai guessed in his heart, he really had a crush on Ning Fan. Since the Yang family doesn't want this wealthy son-in-law who lives in seclusion in the city, then the Tang family will find an opportunity to seize it. 10 minutes later, Ning Fan was sent to the express delivery station by Tang Qiqi. He got out of the car under the envious and complicated gazes of a group of colleagues. Ning Fan. Tang Qiqi just turned the car around to leave when she suddenly rolled down the window and called out to Ning Fan. What's wrong? Ning Fan turned around and asked in confusion. Do you have time tonight? Can you do me a favor? Tang Qiqi said with a smile. I'm organizing a party and I'm short of a male companion. Can you come with me? What time is it? Ning Fan asked. If the party starts too early, he won't be able to go. After get off work, he had to go to the pharmacy to buy a pack of silver needles and some medicine to treat his sister Qin Qiu. About 9 o'clock. Tang Qiqi said. As if she guessed that Ning Fan was considering the time, Tang Qiqi said, if you have something to do, it's okay, you can postpone it until 10 o'clock. No. Ning Fan said quickly. I can do it at 9. It's your party. Can someone like me do it? Why not? Tang Qiqi said coldly. You are mine, and I will do whatever I say. As soon as she finished speaking, Tang Qiqi immediately realized that she had said the wrong thing. Her pretty face flushed, and she quickly raised the car window and said, okay, send me your home address on WeChat later, and I'll pick you up at 9 o'clock. Is there anything else to say about chapter 22? Oh, okay. Ning Fan nodded. Before she could react to why she suddenly became so excited, Tang Qiqi stepped on the accelerator and left. Ning Fan took out his cell phone and sent his home address to Tang Qiqi on WeChat. Then we started unloading and loading the goods, preparing to deliver the express. Just when I had almost packed up and was about to ride my tricycle out, the district manager Wang Hongli suddenly walked out of the office and called out, Mr. Ning. Because of Tang Qiqi's attitude towards Ning Fan, Wang Hongli not only changed his attitude towards Ning Fan, but also changed the way he addressed him. Especially when he saw Tang Qiqi personally bring Ning Fan here and invite Ning Fan to attend a party of her level, he realized that the relationship between Ning Fan and the Tang family was not simple. The purpose of coming to Tang's Express was to cling to the Tang family and make it a background for himself and his sister Wang Ya. Although he became a district manager, he never had the opportunity to move up a level. Now, within the area under his jurisdiction, he met someone like Ning Fan who had a close relationship with the Tang family. He felt that this was an opportunity. You can use Ning Fan as a bridge to truly get on board with the Tang family. Manager Wang, what's wrong? Ning Fan stopped the car. Mr. Ning, why are you going out to deliver express in such a hot sun? It seems that the position of station master of this station is vacant, so you can be the station master. Wang Hongli said. Ning Fan was stunned, then shook his head. No, Manager Wang has no management experience, so he is not suitable. Delivering express is quite suitable for him. It's okay now, and it's not hot. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. This. Wang Hongli was stunned. I didn't expect Ning Fan to refuse so decisively, and I felt a little embarrassed. But he said, Mr. Ning, is it convenient for me to add you on WeChat? Oh, okay. Ning Fan did not refuse this request. After adding WeChat, Wang Hongli said, Mr. Ning, in the 7th district of Jiangcheng, the boss of the underground world is my sister. If you have any problems that are inconvenient for you to show up, please tell me and I will ask my sister to send someone to solve it for you. Oh, let's talk about it later. Ning Fan realized that Wang Hongli wanted to curry favor with him and get closer to him. Because he remembered that in the morning, when Tang Qiqi came to help him solve his problem, she mentioned Wang Hongli's identity background, that he had a sister who was the underground boss of the 7th district of Jiangcheng. At the same time, he also vaguely mentioned the purpose of Wang Hongli coming to work for the Tang family's group. Although he didn't know what the purpose was, based on Wang Hongli's current attitude towards him, Ning Fan could probably guess it. But he was not familiar with Wang Hongli, and he would not be so foolish as to agree to anything he said and become a pawn used by him. Wang Hongli smiled silently and said nothing more. Then Ning Fan rode away on his bike. When the goods were halfway delivered, Ning Fan's cell phone suddenly rang. "Hello, this is Tang's Express. How can I help you?" Ning Fan thought it was a customer who came to urge for delivery, so he asked politely. "It's me, Tang Sihai." A cold voice came from the phone. There was a sense of high pressure in the voice. Ning Fan was stunned at first, but nodded nonchalantly and said, "What's the matter, Uncle Tang?" "The old man likes you and wants you to be the grandson-in-law of the Tang family." Tang Sihai said coldly, "I don't know why a useless son-in-law like you suddenly has such great medical skills. It's different from what I investigated. But I still have to tell you that I think a divorced man like you, who is not wanted by the Yang family as a son-in-law, is not worthy of my daughter, Tang Sihai. You and my daughter are from two different worlds. You are Firefly, and she is the bright moon. The gap is huge, and it cannot be made up by your medical skills." After a slight pause, Tang Sihai said in a deep voice, "You'd better take care of yourself. If you dare to touch my daughter, I will make you disappear from Jiangcheng." This sentence carries a strong threat. But Ning Fan remained unmoved. "As long as you don't set your sights on my daughter and the Tang family, I won't make things difficult for you," Tang Sihai said again. "After all, no matter what, it was you who saved the old man's life. When the time is right, I will give you some money, a house in another city, a car, and find you a wife. Then you can leave Jiangcheng and spend the rest of your life there." "Oh," Ning Fan said calmly. "Anything else to say? If not, I'll be busy with work." After saying that, Ning Fan hung up the phone without waiting for Tang Sihai to answer. "You?" In the study, Tang Sihai heard the beeping sound on the phone and his face looked a little ugly. Over the years, except for the old man, Qiqi, and Tang's mother, no one dared to hang up on him first. Ning Fan was the first one besides them. Snort. Tang Sihai stood up, walked to the window, looked in the direction of Ning Fan's workstation, and snorted coldly. "A useless son-in-law who is not wanted by the Yang family and a low-level ugly duckling who works as a courier in my Tang family wants to use the power of my Tang family to become a white swan. Wishful thinking. The old man is old and tends to make confused decisions, but I am not confused." Obviously, Tang Sihai still has some opinions about Ning Fan. His opinion of Ning Fan did not change because of his medical skills. After delivering the goods, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. After Ning Fan rode the tricycle back to the express delivery station, he rode his brand new electric scooter home from get off work and headed for the nearest pharmacy. The name of the pharmacy is Jiao Yuantang. The pharmacy is huge and looks luxurious. "Call." Ning Fan took a deep breath and stepped into the threshold of Jiao Yuantang. If Ning Fan hadn't gotten 100,000 yuan yesterday and a bank card from Mr. Tang today, with sufficient funds, he wouldn't have dared to come to such a place. After all, good medicine and good injections are definitely expensive. It cost a lot of money. "Dr. Ning." As soon as he entered, Ning Fan heard a familiar voice. When I turned around, it was Dr. Zhao whom I had met at the Tang family at noon. "Divine Dr. Zhao." Ning Fan nodded. "Why are you here?" Dr. Zhao smiled and said, "Dr. Ning left in a hurry this afternoon, and I forgot to add Dr. Ning on WeChat. I also forgot to introduce the place where I stay in Jiangcheng. It is this pharmacy, Jiao Yuantang, and this is also my name." "Is that so?" "That's a coincidence," Ning Fan said. Jiao Yuantang asked, "Dr. Ning, why did you think of giving me a prescription?" "I plan to buy a pack of silver needles and some medicine." Ning Fan said, "I wonder if divine Dr. Zhao has any suitable silver needles for sale." "I don't have silver needles, but I should have the medicine that you need, Dr. Ning." Jiao Yuantang shook his head. "Is that so?" Dr. Ning felt a little disappointed. Such a big pharmacy doesn't he even have silver needles for sale? At this time, Jiao Yuantang said, "Dr. Ning, although I don't sell silver needles here, I can lend my silver needles to Dr. Ning. If you don't mind, I'll have someone take it out right away." Chapter 23 Save me again. "Thank you very much." Ning Fan thanked. The Tang family found it quite convenient to use Jiao Yuantang's silver needles. Anyway, they only used the silver needles once to treat Qinqiu, so it was not important whether they could be bought or not. As long as they could be used, it would be fine. "Xiaoyu, go and take out my silver needle," Jiao Yuantang said. Soon a young girl in a white nurse's uniform came out with a needle box and asked in a sweet voice, "Grandpa, what do you want the silver needle for?" Ning Fan looked at the girl. She had a very delicate face and was wearing light makeup, giving her a very fresh feeling. "This is Dr. Ning. Lend him the silver needles." Zhao Yuantang took the needle box and handed it to Ning Fan. Then he introduced Ning Fan. "Dr. Ning, this is my granddaughter Zhao Qianqian." "Yeah." Ning Fan nodded. He smiled at Zhao Qianqian and said, "Hello, Ning Fan." Zhao Qianqian looked at Ning Fan with some surprise, with surprise showing on her pretty face. Grandpa was a well-deserved miracle doctor in Jiangcheng, and there was only one miracle doctor in Jiangcheng. How come Grandpa mentioned Dr. Ning today? If it was an older man, she might have believed it. But Ning Fan is too young, and he is wearing a courier's uniform. He is clearly a courier. How is he related to the miracle doctor? This can't be a liar. By the way, Dr. Ning, what medicine do you need? I'll prepare it for you. Zhao Yuantang asked. Then Ning Fan told Zhao Yuantang the several medicines he needed. "Dr. Ning, please go in and sit for a moment. It will take some time to get the medicine and pack it." About 10 minutes. Zhao Yuantang invited Ning Fan to sit in the reception room of the pharmacy and wait. "Okay, thank you very much." Ning Fan had just sat down when he suddenly heard an anxious cry for help from outside the pharmacy. "Is the doctor here? Come and save them." Zhao Yuantang stopped getting the medicine, turned around and walked quickly towards the door. "I saw a group of people carrying an unconscious woman in from outside." One of them said to Zhao Yuantang, "Divine Dr. Zhao, please save our sister Ya." Zhao Yuantang recognized the unconscious woman. "It's Wan Ya." There are 8 districts in Jiangcheng, and each district has an underworld boss. This woman is the boss of the underworld in District 7. Don't look at her as a woman. However, he is an extremely ruthless person. What's going on? Zhao Yuantang didn't want to get into trouble by delaying Wan Ya's treatment, so he wanted to cure her immediately and let her leave. "I don't know." Sister Ya fainted suddenly. Wan Ya's younger brother said in a panic, "Doctor, please do your best to treat Sister Ya." Zhao Yuantang said in a deep voice, "Chen Chen, push the bed out." Zhao Chen immediately pushed the mobile bed over. After placing Wan Ya on the hospital bed, Zhao Yuantang began to take her pulse and check her condition. "Mr. Ning, may I use the silver needle first?" Dr. Zhao said to Ning Fan. Because he didn't know whether Ning Fan was happy to reveal his medical skills to others, Zhao Yuantang did not call Ning Fan a miracle doctor for the sake of safety. Ning Fan handed over Zhao Yuantang's silver needle. Zhao Yuantang then began to remove the needles and insert them. After the 13 silver needles were inserted, Wan Ya was still unconscious. There was no sign of waking up. How could this happen? Zhao Yuantang's expression changed. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. "Doctor, how is our sister Ya?" The younger brother next to him asked in a deep voice when he saw that Wan Ya had not woken up. "Don't rush me," Zhao Chen said. "Grandpa is treating her at this critical moment. Please don't talk carelessly. Urging Grandpa will easily distract him. Once he is distracted, it will be too late to save her." Suddenly, the younger brother next to him stopped talking. But their faces were all very nervous. After all, we are not fools. If nothing serious happened, Wan Ya should have woken up long ago. The one treating her now is the famous Dr. Zhao in Jiangcheng. I hope it's okay. Zhao Qianqian's pretty face now looked a little nervous. If the woman wasn't cured, the pharmacy would be in big trouble. This group of people have no moral principles. Suddenly, Zhao Yuantang gave up inserting the needle and stood up to ask Ning Fan for help. "Mr. Ning, this patient's condition is special. My acupuncture method has no effect on him. I don't know why, but it actually caused the vitality in his body to drain away faster. Please use your acupuncture skills, Mr. Ning, to save me again." "Dr. Zhao, what do you mean?" Seeing that Zhao Yuantang suddenly gave up giving acupuncture to Wan Ya and asked a courier for help, Wan Ya's brothers' faces suddenly turned cold. "What do you think of Sister Ya? Anyone can touch or give injections to Sister Ya at will." They all pulled out soft knives from their waists. For a moment, the pharmacy was filled with chill. "Grandpa, you Zhao Chen didn't quite understand either. Who is this person?" She has such a powerful group of people under her, why should I save her? Ning Fan said calmly. Mr. Ning, this person is Sister Ya, the boss of the underground world in the 7th district of Jiangcheng. Her full name is Wang Ya. She is also a well-known figure in the underground world of Jiangcheng. Zhao Yuantang introduced. It's her. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. I didn't expect to meet Wen Hongli's sister Wang Ya so soon. Still in this way. Mr. Ning knows Sister Ya. Zhao Yuantang was slightly stunned. But the next second, he felt relieved. People like Wang Ya may not be so conspicuous in the eyes of the wealthy families in Jiangcheng, but if they are in the ears of ordinary people in Jiangcheng, especially people like Ning Fan who do ordinary jobs, they should be the kind of people who can be heard of frequently. After all, such people are related to the stability of ordinary people's lives. Fighting and collecting protection fees will affect stability. Therefore, most people don't want to have anything to do with these people. Ning Fan shook his head. I don't know him, but I've heard of him. Sister Ya is critically ill now. Are you two playing a double game with us? Wang Ya's younger brother said again in a cold voice. If anything happens to Sister Ya, you will be buried with her. Mr. Ning, please, as a doctor, don't bother with them and help me again. Zhao Yuantang was sweating profusely. In the future in Jiangcheng, if you need my help, I will do my best to help you. Good. Ning Fan agreed. Because he suddenly thought of a problem in his cultivation. As the spiritual energy in the air was thin, his cultivation progress was a bit slow. I practiced all night yesterday, but I didn't enter the qi refining stage. To solve this problem, he found two solutions in the records inherited from his father. The first method is to find a place with rich spiritual energy. However, with his current abilities, he cannot find this solution yet. The second method is to find medicinal materials that are older. Chapter 24. What are you doing? This kind of medicinal herb contains a certain amount of spiritual energy. Perhaps one herb is not enough, but if you find a few more of them, it should be enough. But he didn't know where to find such medicinal herbs. However, Zhao Yuantang, who has been a doctor in Jiangcheng for decades, definitely knows. This is why he is willing to agree to help Zhao Yuantang once. Do you have a private room here? Ning Fan asked. Have. Zhao Yuantang nodded and said, Mr. Ning, what do you want to do? Her illness is a little special, and she needs to take off her clothes for treatment. Ning Fan said truthfully. Boy, you're looking for death. The leading little brother stared at Ning Fan with a cold light in his eyes. You don't need to get excited. Ning Fan said. The reason why your boss fainted is because the snake venom hidden in her body has taken effect. If you want to wake her up, you need to force out all the toxins in her flesh, blood, and meridians. Otherwise, if we delay any further, the poison will enter her brain nerves and she will never wake up. When these words were spoken, the pupils of these people shrank. He looked at Ning Fan with some surprise. They couldn't understand why Ning Fan, who had done nothing, could have seen that their sister Ya had hidden snake venom in her body. 3 months ago, when Sister Ya was fighting with the crow from District 6, the crow deliberately dipped its venom in the king cobra's snake venom and cut her skin. We evacuated immediately and went to the hospital for hemodialysis. We thought everything was fine, but we didn't expect there was still snake venom hidden in the body. So that's how it is. Zhao Yuantang was also stunned for a moment, and then he showed a look of sudden enlightenment. No wonder his acupuncture method not only failed to wake Wang Ya up, but made her condition worse. Chen, help Mr. Ning push the patient in. Zhao Yuantang said. Okay. Zhao Chen was also a little surprised, because looking at the expressions and reactions of these people, she could probably guess that the snake venom Ning Fan mentioned was most likely true. But she couldn't understand how Ning Fan could see that. Could it be that this person is really a miracle doctor? More powerful than Grandpa? Although Wang Ya's group of followers were extremely reluctant to let Ning Fan treat them, there was nothing they could do now. He could only stare at Ning Fan fiercely and said, Boy, if you dare to mess with Sister Ya's body during the treatment, I will make sure you don't see the sun tomorrow. If you delay any longer, you'd better prepare to buy a coffin for her body. Ning Fan said coldly. Suddenly, these younger brothers could only watch Ning Fan follow Zhao Chen into the small room of the pharmacy. In the room, after Zhao Chen fixed the bed, he looked at Ning Fan, took a deep breath and said, I'll trouble you with this patient. Ning Fan nodded, then set his eyes on Wan Ye. I have to say that Wan Ye has a beautiful face. She also has a very good figure, with a curvy figure and no extra fat. Skin as white as snow. Such a beauty actually mixed up in the underground world and even became the boss of the underground world in the 7th district of Jiangcheng. I'm sorry. Ning Fan whispered as he looked at the unconscious Wan Ye. Then he reached out and undressed Wan Ye. Zhao Qinqian's pretty face turned red and hot. It felt a little weird to be alone in a room with a man, looking at the body of another beautiful woman. My breathing became a little rapid and my body felt a little hot. What are you doing? Zhao Qinqian's face suddenly changed. He quickly grabbed Ning Fan's arm. Because Ning Fan did not use silver needles for acupuncture treatment, but directly stretched his palm towards Wan Ye's chest. Ning Fan looked at Zhao Qinqian and said, most of the snake venom in her body has now spread to her chest, compressing her heart and lung nerves and affecting her breathing, which led to her fainting. In order to wake her up, we need to get rid of some of the toxins first. After saying that, Ning Fan broke free from Zhao Qinqian's hand, and then placed his right hand on the right side first. Then put it on the left. Massage both sides at the same time. Zhao Qinqian originally wanted to say something, but suddenly stopped talking. Because as Ning Fan pushed and pulled, a layer of black appeared on the top of Wan Ye's chest, which was as white as jade. Swish! Ning Fan quickly picked up 2 silver needles and dropped them into the center of his chest. The silver needle turned black in an instant. And 2 streams of black liquid spurted out along the silver needle. Suddenly, the dark layer on the chest disappeared. Call! All of a sudden, Wan Ye, whose breath was extremely weak and almost inaudible, let out a heavy breathing sound. However, his eyes were still closed and there was no sign of waking up. Ning Fan kept his purple gold divine pupil open and scanned Wan Ye's body. It was discovered that there were traces of toxins in the flesh and meridians of other parts of Wan Ye's body. Although the amount was much less than the amount of toxin in Wan Ye's chest, it was the key reason why Wan Ye did not wake up. So, Ning Fan practiced his skills, and then kept the spiritual energy in his palms while massaging other parts of Wan Ye's body. The direction of massage is always towards the chest. The whole body was massaged 6 times in total. After these 6 rounds, the snake venom in Wan Ye's body was completely cleared. The breathing rhythm also returned to normal. But he still didn't wake up. After Ning Fan removed the 2 silver needles from her chest, he said to Zhao Qinqian, sweating profusely, put her clothes back on. The treatment is done. She will wake up soon. Okay. Zhao Qinqian nodded. Although Wan Ye had not woken up yet, when she saw the black toxin discharged through the 2 silver needles, she knew that Ning Fan should have been cured. It should only be a matter of time before Wan Ye wakes up. After pushing Wan Ye out, her group of younger brothers quickly came over. How is Sister Ye? The leading younger brother asked anxiously. Nothing more. Ning Fan said, I have cleared all the toxins in her body. She is fine now. You are fucking bullshitting and fooling a fool. The leading brother became angry when he saw that Wan Ye was still unconscious and had not woken up. You've been in there for half an hour, and your eyes still haven't opened. Is this what you told us is all right? Ahem. Suddenly, the unconscious Wan Ye coughed slightly, and her tightly closed eyes slowly opened. Suddenly, the pharmacy became quiet. Wan Ye's younger brothers were all shocked. Although Zhao Qinqian already knew that it was only a matter of time before Wan Ye woke up, he was still quite shocked when he actually saw her wake up. Only Ning Fan looked at Wan Ye's younger brothers with a cold expression. Chapter 25 Bastard. Thank you, Dr. Ning, for saving me again. While everyone was shocked, Zhao Yuantang took a deep breath and bowed to Ning Fan. If it weren't for Ning Fan today, he would have died in the Tang family. You have to die once in your own pharmacy. Death is not important. For a doctor, reputation is the most important thing. Call. Zhao Yuantang let out a breath, feeling like he had survived a calamity. Zhao Qinqian looked at Ning Fan in shock with her beautiful eyes. What even his grandfather, the miracle doctor, couldn't solve was easily solved by Ning Fan, who was dressed in a courier uniform and looked down upon by others. This is truly a miracle doctor. Sister Ye. After a group of younger brothers realized what was happening, they gathered around Wan Ye. Wan Ye felt a little weak. After sitting up with difficulty, she looked around and immediately understood. Then he said to Zhao Yuantang, "Thank you, divine Dr. Zhao. It has nothing to do with me." Zhao Yuantang said, "It's all thanks to Dr. Ning that you were saved." Him. Wang Wei looked at Ning Fan. He frowned slightly. Could a small man in courier clothes save him? Before Zhao Yuantang could say anything, Ning Fan suddenly interrupted and said, "Divine Dr. Zhao, please give me my medicine and your silver needle. I have to go back." Zhao Yuantang was stunned at first, then he immediately remembered why Ning Fan came to the pharmacy. He felt quite ashamed that he had wasted Ning Fan's time because of his own affairs. He quickly wrapped the medicine with his granddaughter, handed the silver needle to Ning Fan, and said, "Dr. Ning, I'm so sorry to have wasted your time. When you have time, I will definitely thank you for saving my life twice." After that, Zhao Yuantang took out his phone and said to Ning Fan, "Dr. Ning, is it convenient for me to add WeChat? If you need anything in the future, just tell me on WeChat and I'll ask Chen Chen to bring it to you. No need to bother you to come over." "Good." Ning Fan nodded. "It just so happens that there are a lot of people in the pharmacy right now, so I can't tell you about the need for older medicinal materials right now. I'll ask Zhao Yuantang on WeChat when I get back. Chen Chen, please send Dr. Ning away." Zhao Yuantang said. I realized that Ning Fan was not as simple as he seemed in his courier uniform, and I was very happy to have some contact with him. Then Ning Fan turned around and left. He didn't even look at Wang Wei. Wang Wei looked at Ning Fan's back and frowned slightly. This man didn't take her seriously at all and didn't even look at her. It was as if in his eyes, there was no such person as Wang Wei. However, she had no idea that when Ning Fan was treating her just now, he not only looked at her as a person, but also her entire body. The baby warehouse even underwent more than half an hour of massage under Ning Fan's hands. Wang Wei felt much better at this time. She got off the mobile bed and said to Zhao Yuantang again, "Divine Dr. Zhao, my brothers just brought me here. They may be a little emotional. If they have offended you in any way, please tell me. I will make them pay the price for offending you." Zhao Yuantang shook his head and said, "That's nothing. Sister Ya, just go back and have a good rest and take care of your body for a while." "Good." Wang Ya nodded. Then he left with his brothers. After leaving the pharmacy, Wang Ya asked, "Are you sure that it was that person who saved me just now, as Dr. Zhao said?" Wang Ya has two most honest and loyal younger brothers under his command. The leading younger brother next to me, Jinbao, is one of them. Jinbao was slightly stunned, then nodded and said, "Sister Ya, it was indeed him who saved you." "Only. Just what?" Wang Ya turned her head and stared at Jinbao, whose face was covered in sweat. "It's just that, the way he treated you is a little special." Jinbao's voice trembled. Wang Ya said coldly. "Speak, don't tell me half of it. How did he treat me?" He told us to take off your clothes, Sister Ya." Jinbao said tremblingly. "At that time, there was really nothing we could do, Sister Ya. He saw the problem with your body at a glance, and divine Dr. Zhao couldn't save you. You even asked him for help. We had no choice but to watch him and divine Dr. Zhao's granddaughter push you on the bed into a small room to treat you for half an hour." "What?" Wang Ya was stunned for a moment. After a few seconds, Wang Ya's face was covered with frost. Because now she felt a little bloating and pain in her baby's warehouse. She lowered her head slightly and could see two handprints on the left and right warehouses through the gap in her clothes. All of a sudden, Wang Ya's body began to tremble. She couldn't imagine what kind of treatment Ning Fan had given her. Looking at the direction where Zhao Qianqian sent Ning Fan away, she bit her red lips tightly and said, "Asshole, don't let me meet you again, or I will kill you." Jinbao was trembling beside him. Taking the medicine and silver needle, Ning Fan didn't delay any longer and went straight home. As soon as I got home, Qin Qiu also came back from school. "Brother, you got off work so early today." Qin Qiu happily put down his school bag, then held Ning Fan's hand and shook it, saying, "Did you bring me anything delicious?" Although she is only 16 years old, Qin Qiu has developed well and is very pretty, showing signs of being a beauty. All the places on the body that should be there have also begun to take shape. If you hold Ning Fan's arm and shake it like this, it will inevitably touch that developing area. Ning Fan quickly pulled his hand out of Qin Qiu's and reminded him, "You are no longer the little girl you were when you were little. You have grown up. Your brother is also a boy. You should learn to maintain the proper distance and not be too close. Oh. Qin Qiu pouted. What's the matter? Ning Fan rubbed Qin Qiu's head and said with a smile, I was a little rushed today, so I didn't buy you any food, but I bought some silver needles and Chinese medicine for your treatment. You don't need to go to the hospital for a bypass surgery. I can cure your heart problem. Looking at the silver needle box and medicinal herbs that Ning Fan had placed on the table, Qin Qiu was stunned and asked, Brother, where did you find this mud house? Is it okay? This is not a folk remedy. Ning Fan said as he opened the needle box. You'll find out in a moment. By the way, do you feel any discomfort in your heart today? A little, but not strong. Qin Qiu shook his head and asked. Brother, how are you going to treat me? Suddenly, Ning Fan was stunned. Then, his whole face turned red and hot. In order to solve Qin Qiu's heart problem, a set of acupuncture methods from the supreme medical classics must be used. It's called the Sinomorium Sungaricum removal needle. 6 silver needles are placed at targeted spots on the patient's body where the disease occurs, surrounding the area and eradicating the stubborn disease. At the same time, your vitality will not be damaged. However, there is a prerequisite for acupuncture, that the area to be treated cannot be blocked by clothing. Chapter 26. Their voice is nice. If it was someone else, Ning Fan wouldn't think there was anything wrong with this treatment method. But the key point is that the person he needs to treat now is Qin Qiu. It's my sister. How can this be possible? For a moment, he couldn't overcome the barrier in his heart and didn't know how to answer Qin Qiu. Brother, what's wrong with you? Why is your face so red? Qin Qiu asked while putting his hand on Ning Fan's forehead. Why is it so hot, brother? You are not having a fever. I'm fine. Ning Fan took Qin Qiu's hand and said. Why is it so hot then? Is it okay to be nervous? Ning Fan asked. Okay. Qin Qiu nodded. Brother, how can I cooperate with you? No, take some medicine first to let your body relax. Ning Fan still couldn't get over that hurdle, so he could only let Qin Qiu take the medicine first. Although it is impossible to eradicate heart disease, the prescriptions inherited from my father can still alleviate and suppress it. Oh, okay. Then I'll take the medicine first. Qin Qiu blinked. Yeah. Ning Fan nodded, and then went to boil medicine for Qin Qiu. The tea was just fried and Qin Qiu had no time to drink it when Ning Fan's cell phone rang. When I looked at the time, it was already 8 o'clock, and it was almost time for the appointment with Tang Chuchu. I looked at the ringtone of my phone again and it turned out to be a WeChat voice call from Zhao Yuantang. Dr. Ning, thank you so much today. The call was connected, and Zhao Yuantang's voice was heard on the line. I wonder when Dr. Ning will be free. I would like to invite you to dinner. There's no need to eat, just help me do something. Ning Fan said. Dr. Ning, please tell me what you need. As long as I can do it, I will definitely get it done for you. Zhao Yuantang immediately said, if I can't do it, I'll ask someone else to do it. I need you to help me find some older medicinal herbs. Ning Fan said. How old are the herbs that Dr. Ning needs? Probably those herbs again. Zhao Yuantang asked, I may not be good at other things in front of Dr. Ning, but when it comes to finding medicinal materials, I, Zhao Yuantang, am definitely not bad. I have run this pharmacy for decades, and I personally go to the market to select every medicinal material. As long as there are medicinal materials in this world, I can find them for Dr. Ning. As for medicinal materials, there is no restriction. The main thing is the age. I probably need some 1,000-year-old medicinal materials. Can I find them? Ning Fan asked. 1,000-year-old medicinal herbs. Zhao Yuantang was stunned. Then he said awkwardly, Dr. Ning, I won't hide it from you. Medicinal materials of this age are rarely seen. Even if it were to come out, it would be bought by the wealthy and powerful families at a high price and would never circulate in the market. I wonder what Dr. Ning needs these herbs for. Just after he finished speaking, Zhao Yuantang hurriedly explained, Dr. Ning, please don't misunderstand me. I asked about the effect because I wanted to see if there are any other herbs of similar ages that can be used as substitutes. Can we find medicinal herbs of the 500-year level? Ning Fan didn't care and asked again. Although this level will not be circulated in the market, but if you ask around and put in some effort, there should be a chance. Zhao Yuantang was embarrassed on the other end of the phone, his face flushed red. I had originally vowed that I could help Ning Fan, so I decided to return the favor first. Unexpectedly, he was unable to meet Ning Fan's 2 consecutive requests. 100-year level. Ning Fan asked again. We need wild ones, not farmed ones. There is no chance for 1,000-year-old or 500-year-old medicinal herbs, so we can only turn our attention to 100-year-old wild medicinal herbs. There are also many medicinal materials of this level that are artificially cultivated. Although the age has increased, it is far from being as good as the wild ones and has absorbed sufficient spiritual energy from heaven and earth. This can be found. Zhao Yuantang's eyes immediately lit up. Okay. Ning Fan nodded. No matter what kind of medicinal material it is, as long as it reaches the 100-year level, you can help me collect it first, and I will give you the money later. On their way home, Ning Fan checked the card that Mr. Tang gave him today. It would have been fine if I hadn't checked, but when I did I was shocked. There was actually 1 million in cash inside. I called Mr. Tang at that time and asked him to return it, but he didn't want it. He also said that this amount of money was just a drop in the bucket for him. It's worth spending a little money to save a life. Then Ning Fan did not force himself to retreat. After all, the other party had already said this. Therefore, Ning Fan now has the confidence to ask Zhao Yuantang to help him collect more century-old medicinal herbs. Okay, I'll do it right away. Zhao Yuantang nodded. As soon as the call between the two was hung up, another call came in. It was Tang Chuchu. Ning Fan, I'm downstairs at your house, please come down quickly. Tang Chuchu's pleasant voice came from the phone. Good. Ning Fan nodded. Just after he hung up the phone, Qin Qiu suddenly came up to him and asked curiously. Brother, who is this sister on the phone? It sounds nice. Isn't this the new sister-in-law you found for me? Chapter 27 for you. Ning Fan's face suddenly became hot and he felt a little embarrassed. How can a divorced man like me, with my current status, be worthy of a girl like Tang Chuchu? So he gently scratched Qin Qiu's nose and said, focus more on your studies. You will be in the 3rd year of high school soon. Also, drink the medicine while it's hot and go to bed early. I, your brother, have something to do tonight and need to go out for a while. Profound. Qin Qiu blinked innocently. Ning Fan then changed his clothes and went out. As soon as I walked downstairs, I saw a pink Porsche 911. Ning Fan. Here. The car door opened and Tang Chuchu got out of the car. Tang Chuchu dressed up carefully tonight and looked very beautiful. Her long hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall, and she wore a slim-fitting evening dress that perfectly outlined every inch of her figure, without a single flaw to be seen. Especially the pair of slender white legs under the dress, which makes people's heart tremble. With delicate light makeup, she looks like a princess walking out of a painting. Boom tilde. After getting in the car, Tang Chuchu stepped on the accelerator and drove Ning Fan away. I heard you have a younger sister. Tang Chuchu asked while driving. Ning Fan nodded and asked in confusion, how did you know? My dad investigated you before. Tang Chuchu said. But don't be angry, Grandpa has taught him a lesson. Yeah. Ning Fan nodded. In the Tang family, Tang Chuchu and old man Tang Wuqiang both treated him well, so he didn't care about Tang Sihai's bad treatment of him. After all, if someone like me suddenly broke into a family like the Tang family, if I were someone from other families, I'm afraid they would also investigate me. He would not allow someone he had never seen or heard of before to enter the family and get so close to his daughter without any reason. Why don't you bring your sister to the party tonight? Tang Chuchu asked. I would like to get to know her. She has to get up early to go to school tomorrow, so it's not suitable for her to play outside for too long at night. Ning Fan said. This place is too shabby. When I parked my car just now, I saw a lot of gangsters nearby. I don't think it's a good idea for your sister to go to and from school. Tang Chuchu said. I have a house that has been vacant for a long time, so I'll give it to you. You and your sister can live there. The security environment there is good, and you don't have to worry about your sister if you are alone outside during the day or at night. As she spoke, Tang Chuchu opened the small box next to the driver's seat, took out a key from it and handed it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan originally wanted to refuse, but then he thought about how shabby the place where he and his sister lived was. Everything was fine in the mornings, as I would ride my bike to take him to school. At night, sometimes I come home late from get off work, and she always comes back by herself. She is not a little girl anymore, but a well-developed adult lady. There are indeed a lot of gangsters here. Although nothing has happened now, there is no guarantee that some excessive gangsters will not come here in the future. If Qingqiu encounters them, it will be very troublesome and not good. Although I have some money now, I will have to spend it on purchasing aged medicinal herbs, which will probably cost a lot of money. I don't have any extra money to move to a house with a better environment and better security. So I agreed. When I have enough money to buy a new house in the future, I will return the house to Tang Qiqi. After taking the key, Ning Fan said, "Thank you." "But, what's there to thank me for? It's just a house. I don't live in it anyway, so it'll just sit there empty. You saved my grandfather twice, so even if I give you half of the Tang family's assets, Grandpa won't object." Tang Qiqi chuckled. At this time, Ning Fan saw the words on the key clearly. This is actually the key to the villa on Sanglong Island. The Sanglong Island Villa District has the best houses in the entire Jiangcheng. The people who live here are basically either rich or prominent. Ordinary people are not even qualified to live there, let alone enter the community on the island. This house is too valuable, you should take it back. Ning Fan took a deep breath and handed the key back to Tang Qiqi. Compared to my grandfather's life, it's cheap. Tang Qiqi didn't answer and continued, "It was actually my grandfather who instructed me to give you this house. Grandpa said that if you don't answer, he will tell me not to get too close to you in the future." "All right." Ning Fan reluctantly took back the key. "By the way, Miss Tang, I want to ask you something." "What's the matter?" Tang Qiqi asked. "Ask me anything you want. There's nothing I don't know in Jiangcheng. Do you know where I can buy those very old medicinal herbs? It would be best if they are 300 or 400 years old, or even 500 years old or older." Ning Fan said. Tang Qiqi was slightly stunned and asked in confusion, "What kind of medicinal material do you want?" "I am useful." Ning Fan replied. "If it's only 100 years, it's actually quite easy to find. We can find it through Dr. Zhao, but there won't be too many." Tang Qiqi thought for a while and said, "After 100 years, it's very difficult to see it, and after 500 years, it's basically impossible to see it. It is rare to find herbs that are 200 to 300 years old, or 300 to 400 years old. These herbs are collected by some wealthy people. For example, I actually have a 300-year-old wild ginseng at home. But in the afternoon, in order to help Grandpa recover faster, I used it to make soup for him." Ning Fan felt a little disappointed. But his eyes suddenly lit up and he asked, "Where did you get this wild ginseng?" "I went to the Jiangcheng auction with my grandfather to bid." Tang Qiqi's eyes lit up after she finished speaking. "Yes, you need this. I can take you to the Jiangcheng auction right now. There are a lot of good things here, both legitimate and illegitimate. There are even some declining families that auction off their ancestral treasures in order to continue their business. It's almost 9 o'clock, and your party is about to start. It's not convenient to go to the auction venue now," Ning Fan said. Tang Qiqi smiled and said, "The party officially starts at 9:40, and it's only 8:20 now. If we go to the Jiangcheng auction, it will start at 8:30, and it will only be open for 1 hour. We can just get to the party in an hour." "Okay then, thank you very much." Ning Fan thanked. To enter the Jiangcheng auction, capital verification is required. Although he has never been there, as a courier, he is familiar with the rules of every place in Jiangcheng. If you go there alone, you won't be able to get in. But it would be much more convenient if Tang Qiqi brought me with her. "It's okay." Tang Qiqi smiled sweetly. He stepped on the accelerator again, and the car changed its route and headed straight for the Jiangcheng auction venue. Chapter 28 Spiritual Fluid. In less than 10 minutes, about 8 minutes, Tang Qiqi drove Ning Fan to the parking lot of the Jiangcheng auction venue. There are luxury cars everywhere. Everyone who got off the bus was dressed in fancy clothes, and it was obvious that they were not ordinary people. Obviously, those who can come here are basically people with some status, position and money in Jiangcheng. Tang Qiqi asked Ning Fan to come down first and wait for her here while she went to park the car. Ning Fan frowned as soon as he got out of the car. Because he met two people here who made him feel bad. It was young Qiqi and Chen Wei. Ning Fan, you are such an interesting person. Yang Qiqi also noticed Ning Fan at this time and sneered. You slept with me arrogantly during the day, but you want me to regret it later. Why are you following me so shamelessly? You want me to forgive you and remarry me. I'm telling you, it's impossible. Where do you get the nerve to do that? Ning Fan asked coldly. If he wasn't going to the auction to buy aged medicinal herbs, he would have turned and left when he saw these two people. Ning Fan, don't quibble. Yang Qiqi sneered, how much do you like me? I know better than anyone how you used to be a dog licker. I know how unwilling you are to be with Master Chen. It's just that because of the energy you used when you fucked me during the day, you were too embarrassed to beg me, so you secretly followed me, wanting to find a place where no one was around to beg me, so that you could retain your dignity as a man. You're so ugly, he must be blind to follow you, please. Tang Chuchu, who had parked the car, walked over from a distance. You. Yang Qiqi was about to refute subconsciously. But when he saw Tang Chuchu walk up to Ning Fan and take his hand, the words that were on the tip of his tongue suddenly stopped coming out. Because in front of Tang Chuchu, her beauty and figure, which she was so proud of, were as bright as a firefly. It can't be compared with the bright moon at all. Deep down in my heart, I couldn't help but feel inferior. Yang Qiqi gritted her teeth and turned her gaze back to Ning Fan. Since she couldn't win the argument with Tang Chuchu, she could only find a sense of existence through Ning Fan. Ning Fan, there will never be any chance between us. Yang Qiqi gritted her teeth and said, do you know why Master Chen and I are here today? It's because tonight there will be a set of 3 gold items auctioned here from a European noble. It includes a ring, a necklace, and earrings. It was once worn by a European queen and given to a noble. Now the starting price for the auction is 1 million. Mr. Chen, please take the photo for me because we will be preparing for a grand wedding in 15 days. That will be the time when you will feel the most pain and regret for not holding on to me. Before Ning Fan could respond, Tang Chuchu just laughed. Buying second-hand 3 golds for marriage. It's really a perfect match for a second-hand woman like you. You. Yang Qiqi's face flushed. Chen Wei's face suddenly turned ugly. The two were very angry, but they didn't know how to refute. Ning Fan, let's go in. Tang Chuchu then pulled Ning Fan into their venue under the extremely hateful gazes of the two. Less than 2 minutes after entering, the auction began. More than 20 items were auctioned in one go, but none of the medicinal herbs Ning Fan wanted were found. Call. Ning Fan breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that it was not so easy to get those ancient medicinal herbs at the Jiangcheng auction venue. But just when Ning Fan no longer had any hope, his eyes suddenly lit up. Because the item being auctioned now is not a medicinal material, but just a piece of red jade. But in this piece of jade, Ning Fan saw through his purple gold divine pupil that there was a liquid the size of a small fingernail, the color of milk. Suddenly, Ning Fan's breathing became rapid. On the first floor of the 9-story glazed tower, he had seen an introduction to the spiritual power within cultivators. Spiritual power is the spiritual energy in the world. Cultivators use their skills to absorb the spiritual energy into their bodies, convert it into spiritual power that flows throughout the body, changing and improving physical fitness. The importance of spiritual energy to cultivators is just like oxygen to ordinary people. If one wants to survive and improve, one must use spiritual energy to practice. In addition to the gaseous form, spiritual energy also has several other forms. One is in mist form and the other is in liquid form. No matter which form it is, the spiritual energy is denser and purer than that in gaseous form. Because only when the spiritual energy becomes more pure and dense will its form change. The starting price for this piece of jade is 800,000. The auctioneer then announced the price. Ning Fan, who originally wanted to participate in the auction, was stunned for a moment, and then a bitter smile appeared on his face. It is really difficult to cultivate immortality in this world nowadays. The spiritual energy in the air was thin, and he did not hesitate to come across a piece of jade containing spiritual liquid. As a result, the starting auction price was 800,000. What was the final transaction price? Ning Fan didn't dare to think about it. 1 million. But just when Ning Fan was feeling a little disappointed, Tang Chuchu, who was sitting next to him, suddenly joined the bidding. This caused many people in the auction hall to look at each other in bewilderment. Although 1 million was nothing to people of their level, no one's money came from the wind. This piece of jade is about the size of an egg. At most it's worth 1 million. If the price is raised by force, it will not be good for anyone. Therefore, as Tang Qiqi entered the venue in a rude way by directly raising the price by 200,000 yuan, there were not many people following her. However, there are still a few people, but the price increase is not large. When the price finally climbed to around 1.2 million, it was almost over. Just as the auctioneer was about to announce the result, a familiar male voice suddenly rang out from the public area of the auction venue. 1,250,000. It's really Chen Wei. Because Qiqi likes the color of this jade. In order to make his woman happy, Chen Wei was willing to do it. Tang Qiqi, who was sitting in the private box, so this man kick her from the air, and her pretty face was suddenly covered with frost. He said coldly, 1.5 million. Chen Wei frowned, looked towards the box, and gritted his teeth and said, 1,550,000. Since I promised to take a picture of this jade for Qiqi, I must do it. You know, when he was talking to Qiqi so confidently just now, everyone around him looked at him. If we don't get it, it would be a slap in the face. 3 million. At this moment, Tang Qiqi raised the price so aggressively that Ning Fan broke out in sweat. He knew that Tang Qiqi could see that he wanted this piece of jade. So I participated in the auction, wanting to win it and give it to myself. But for such a piece of jade, after just a few rounds of bidding, he had roughly figured out that 1,200,000 was about the maximum price. Now the bid has been raised to 3 million, almost 3 times the price, which makes him feel it is not worth it. How about chapter 29? You? Chen Wei's head was buzzing with anger. He was not so generous as to spend 3 million to buy a jade stone the size of an egg. The money he brought tonight was not enough for him to spend like this. If the bidding continues, I want to be able to win the 3 gold medals from Europe tonight. Thinking of this, Chen Wei could only grit his teeth and give up. Honey, I wanted Tilda. Qiqi didn't want to give up, so she acted coquettishly to Chen Wei. It's not worth spending 3 million on a jade like this. I'll ask my friends to find you one like this. Let's buy the 3 golds tonight and prepare for our wedding. Chen Wei said in a deep voice. Otherwise, if we spend all the money here, we won't have a chance to get the 3 golds. Do you want this jade stone, or do you want a grand wedding in 15 days? Okay, I want a wedding. Even if Qiqi liked it, she had to give up. Soon the jade was delivered to Tang Qiqi's box. Here, I give it to you. Tang Qiqi placed the jade in front of Ning Fan. Seeing this piece of jade, Ning Fan's breathing became a little faster. 3 million to buy a jade piece as big as an egg. He didn't quite understand what a rich woman like Tang Qiqi was thinking. It's too expensive. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. You gave me a villa and 3 million worth of jade. I'm afraid I can't repay this favor in a short time. No need to pay it back. You saved my grandfather twice, and that's enough for our Tang family to treat you well for the rest of your life. Tang Qiqi whispered, but if you really want to pay it back, it's not impossible to pay it back in a short period of time. Why? Ning Fan asked subconsciously. Tang Qiqi turned her head, blinked her eyes like black grapes, and said, how about being with me and being the son-in-law of the Tang family? Ning Fan was stunned. He was completely stunned. He didn't expect Tang Qiqi to flirt with him so directly. This is the first woman who has flirted with him since he was old enough to understand. Although I was a little confused, I didn't know why, but I had an inexplicable feeling in my heart. It's an indescribable feeling. Puff. Seeing Ning Fan in a daze with a red face, Tang Qiqi laughed out loud. Ning Fan, how come you are more shy than a girl like me? Forget it, you probably don't want to do it, so I won't tease you anymore. After Tang Qiqi said this last sentence, Ning Fan regretted it. Which man doesn't want to be with an outstanding girl like Tang Qiqi? I was so stupid that I didn't even seize the opportunity that came to me. But at this moment, Tang Qiqi suddenly turned her head and looked at Ning Fan, blinking her big eyes and said, although you didn't agree to me just now, if you are willing to be with me, tell me and I will definitely agree to you. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's feeling of regret disappeared. My body was trembling slightly. Ms. Tang, this piece of jade can meet some of my needs tonight. I don't have to wait and see if there are any ancient medicinal herbs. Ning Fan said after putting the jade away. Let's go, it's almost 9 o'clock. It will take some time to get to the place where you are holding the party. It's not good to rush it. Tang Qiqi was about to nod and prepare to take Ning Fan away. But at this moment, the auctioneer's voice rang out again. The next item to be auctioned is a set of 3 gold jewelry worn by European queens. It has great collection and use value, and the starting auction price is 1 million. So Tang Qiqi stopped Ning Fan, who was walking out, and said, "Wait. Chapter 30, I'll give it to you." "What's wrong?" Ning Fan asked puzzledly. Before Tang Qiqi came back, a familiar voice came from outside the box. 1,100,000. Chen Wei bid first. He directly raised the price to 100,000, which showed that he was determined to get this set of 3 gold jewelry. 1,150,000. 1,200,000. Soon more and more people started bidding. In the end, the price hovered around 1.7 million. There are fewer and fewer people bidding. The price increase became smaller and smaller, from hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands at the beginning. 1,800,000. Chen Wei's voice suddenly rang out loudly again. He added tens of thousands in one go. All of a sudden, the auction hall became quiet and no one bid anymore. Seeing this, Chen Wei put his right arm around Yang Qiqi, with a very proud smile on his face. "I said I would buy this set of 3 golds for you to use for our wedding, then I will definitely do it. Honey, you are so good to me." Yang Qi leaned on Chen Wei's shoulder like a little bird. Much better than that loser Ning Fan. Just as Chen Wei was smiling and waiting for the auctioneer to announce the result, Tang Qiqi suddenly said coldly, 300 million. All eyes turned to look over at once. Chen Wei, Yang Qiqi's gaze also turned over. They both recognized their voice. Wasn't this the person who had just competed with them for the jade? Then both of them looked unhappy. They just spent 3 million to snatch the jade that they liked, and now they raised the price by another 3 million to snatch the 3 golds that they liked before they even arrived at the auction venue. This is really making things difficult for them. When had the two of them ever offended anyone who could be in the box at the auction venue? "What are you bidding on this for?" In the box, Ning Fan asked in confusion. "I'm not happy with them," Tang Qiqi said. "So, I don't want them to get it too easily." Ning Fan smiled bitterly. "It's really good to be rich. If they are unhappy, they will spend millions to vent their anger without blinking an eye." 3,100,000. Chen Wei gritted his teeth. This bid price exceeded his budget, but for the sake of face, he couldn't let the same person slap him in the face twice in front of Yang Qiqi at the auction today, so he had no choice but to bite the bullet and raise the price. 4 million. Tang Qiqi raised the price again. All of a sudden, the auction venue fell silent, and no one understood what Tang Qiqi was doing. Although this set of 3 golds came from the European royal family, its actual value is just that, capped at 2 million. I didn't expect it to first rise to 3 million and then to 4 million. What is this for? Fuck. Chen Wei cursed. I think Tang Qiqi is a lunatic. But he didn't dare to curse publicly. Those who could enter the box of Jiangcheng auction venue were not ordinary people, but VIPs of the venue. If he dared to yell now, he would be kicked out in the next second. Yang Qiqi was very angry. The 2 things she liked tonight were going to be snatched away. She couldn't bear it anymore. She hugged Chen Wei's arm and said coquettishly, "Hubby, you must help me take the picture, not only for me, but also for your face. From the sound of it, this is a bitch. She actually forced you to raise your price twice." HMPH. Chen Wei snorted coldly, his anger rising suddenly. He said coldly, "Don't worry, I will definitely take a picture of this set of 3 golds for you." Then he bid again, 4,100,000. 5 million. Tang Qiqi made another offer. It was like a heavy slap on Chen Wei's face, making it turn red and unable to speak for a long time. When every pair of eyes in the conference hall looked at Chen Wei felt the temperature on his face suddenly rise. So embarrassing. Chen Wei had been pampered since childhood, so he could not stand such embarrassment. He said hot-headedly, 6 million. This time, I'm too lazy to add another 100,000. Just at 1 million. To save my face. 7 million. Tang Qiqi said lightly. 8 million. Chen Wei broke free from Yang Qiqi's hand and said irrationally. "Oh. Tang Chuchu responded calmly, a set of 3 golds worth at most 2 million, you big bastard is willing to buy it for 8 million. It seems that you like second-hand 3 golds very much, with second-hand women, so I'll give it to you. Chen Wei was stunned for a moment. Yang Qiqi, who had originally felt very proud because Chen Wei had raised the price to 8 million and attracted everyone's attention, was also stunned.